Welcome everyone to the ZBA meeting on September 18th. Right? September 18th,
Yep.
2025 at 6:30 PM in City Hall, the city of Greenfield, 14 Court Square. I'm going to read a chair statement. It's very important. This meeting is being recorded by the Zoning Board of Appeals. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify me, the chairperson, at this time. Is anyone else recording the meeting? Okay. Anybody else? It's okay if you do, you just have to tell me.
I might record here and there.
Okay. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, subsection 20G, quote, "No person shall address a meeting of a public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of a meeting of a public body. If after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting. However, if the person does not withdraw, the chair may authorize a constable or other officer to remove the person from the meeting." Roll call. So the members here are Charles Roberts, Eric Green,
Jim Wynn. Peter Wozniak.
Debbie Joe?
Mark Maloney.
David Singer. Okay, tonight we have one public hearing. I'm going to ask the new clerk to read the notice of the public hearing. Is this all signed?
Does anyone have a note
I have it.
right here?
Yeah.
If you could, thank you.
It's all signed, David.
You checked it?
Yeah.
Application of Noble Home LLC for property located at 106 to 110 Stone Farm Lane, Assessor's Map R03 Lot 14, which is located in the urban residential RA and rural residential RC zoning districts for special permit pursuant to sections 200-6.1C, 200-7.2, 200-8.3, and 200-8.4 of the zoning ordinance in order to allow the construction of a 34-unit multifamily development at this location.
Before I let the applicant speak, I want to just do a little tutorial. Maybe you haven't been to zoning meetings before. So the zoning board of Greenfield, like every other zoning board, the zoning board of Greenfield is what we call a quasi judicial board. We make decisions about zoning matters in the city of Greenfield. So what's before us is an application for three things. One is for, or at least three things. One is for a site plan review. The application, as you know, they're asking to be given permission to build homes up on the extension of Stone Farm Lane. So there's a site plan that they're going to present to us that we have a right to review and determine whether we'll accept it or not. There's an issue, there's a special permit issue in Greenfield. Everyone has, who owns land has as a matter of right, the right to build at least 3 units on their property. And when the units exceed 3 units, that's called multifamily. And under our ordinance, if you want to put more than 3 units on your property, you need to come to the zoning board and ask permission to do that by way of a special permit. And there are criteria in the ordinance that discuss what we need to consider. The third thing that's before us is something that's a little more esoteric, which is that the applicant already has more than 3 units on their property. How many are there now? 4?
It's right, 2.
So there are 4 units, which means they already have more than 3. So technically, they're what we would say they're grandfathered. So they're allowed to some degree to have 4 units on that property because those 4 units were placed on the property before the zoning was changed to only allow 3. They also have another issue, which is that in order to have a multifamily in Greenfield, you need 100 feet of frontage. They only have 50 feet of frontage. So what they're asking us is whether or not they're allowed to take this nonconformity and expand it from 4 units to right now, I believe, 22 units and get over the hurdle that they don't have the 100 feet. So they're saying, well, we had 4 units there when it required 50 feet. So we're asking if we could put 22 units on the property and extend this already non-conformity that we were lucky enough to have. And the test for that is if the Board of Appeals finds that such extension, alteration, or change will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use. So right now, the non-conforming use is 4 units. Okay, so that's the test. I'll read it again because it's important. It's important for a number of reasons, but it's important for you to understand because when you get your time to speak, the board is really looking for you to provide us with information, facts, evidence of why you think it will be more substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use. So that's the focus of our board. We have to determine whether we believe based on what they say and what you say, if we were going to allow this to happen, we would have to determine that the change, the extension will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use or the existing 4 units. Okay, everybody understand that? Thank you. All right. So that will help, I hope, in your discussions. And just realize that we're lay people and I'm not going to time people, but I'm going to ask you that you concise. Make your point. We'd love to hear from everybody, but make your point. And if you continue to go on, and I think you've said it before, I don't think it's relevant, I'll ask you to please wind it up. Okay, thank you.
You just explained 8.3 too. Did you want
No,
you don't want to talk about?
no, I don't want to do it now. Nope, thank you. If you have 8.3 and you want to pass it around, that's fine, but I'll discuss, when we get to the public hearing part, I'm happy to bring it up, but I just wanted the people to understand that it's 6.1 that's really that's the hardcore of ask here. Okay. But thank you so I don't want people to interrupt this if you can help it, unless it's an emergency. Thanks. Okay, applicant, your name,
Thank you.
address, what you're here for, what you're doing,
Okay.
why you're doing it, where you're doing it, and what you're doing.
Great. So should I just,
Well, first, your name
oh, okay.
and who you
Sure.
represent.
Name is Noah Grunberg.
Yes,
I'm the owner of Noble Home, a design build company based in Shelburne Falls. My address, I live in 9 Gardner Avenue, Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts.
if you represent a lessee, are you the lessee?
I am the lessee.
Noble is the lessee.
Yeah, Noble Home is the lessee.
And the company's address is?
Whole company's address is P.O. Box 476, Shelburne Falls.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
I'm here to ask for zoning relief to build multifamily structures, which includes 22 units of housing on a non-conforming lot consisting of 32 acres roughly at the end of Stone Farm Lane. The property itself is owned by Valley Community Land Trust, and I'm a leaseholder of about 7.7 acres of that property. As a chairman,
Excuse me,
yes,
Mr. Chair, we've exceeded the occupancy now, and we've got more people coming.
Yeah, wait, is somebody letting,
No, we had to give up.
you have to give up?
I was thinking of that, but people locked down, so. they're not gonna listen.
So we're seeing it in here, you're welcome to stand outside the door.
And have another chair over here also.
We're over the limit, right?
It's not the chair, it's the number.
I can be the person to.
Thank you. You want to switch seats with someone?
Yeah.
That's
I
okay.
think that's the okay.
Request if you could speak a little louder.
Sure.
Thank you. We good? Go ahead. Thank you, Peter.
So I'm here tonight to ask for zoning relief to build these 22 units. And as the chairman was pointing out, I have a couple requests, zoning requests. The main one is to extend the existing residential use on a non-conforming lot. The other is a special permit to build multi-housing, multifamily housing in the RA district, as that's what's required. Yeah,
Okay.
so I will present what we have here.
So you're gonna share your screen?
I will, yes.
See if we can get this to work.
You have to be on Zoom to do that?
Well, he's actually connected to this screen here, so I'm hoping I can just make that happen. Share. Work?
No, for a second.
Share desktop. Do I need to do, yeah, desktop. Plug HDMI device, we're connected.
Oh, HDMI.
I don't know if you need to allow it on your side.
Oh, I don't know. I don't see any notification or anything. Share key.
Yeah, it says plug device HDMI cable in. We're connected.
Yeah, I'll try it again, maybe.
It is HDMI, right?
Yes. There we go.
Good.
Nice.
Okay. So, so I'll start with the site. The site shown in green is 32 acres at the end of Stone Farm Lane. It's a vicinity, it's part of downtown. It's about 2 miles from the retail district from Main Street. So there's access in a variety of modes of transportation. It can be accessed obviously by car, our bike route. There is our walking paths through the Poet Seat Bridge, which can get toward Main Street. And there's also bus routes. And I'll go into a little bit more of the traffic issues later. A little closer up of the 32 acres, it just shows the surrounding neighborhood. The houses to the north mostly were built in, I guess, in the 50s, 50s and 60s. And to the south of the property is First Light, I guess it's still called First Light, which owns the property between this property and the Connecticut River. So currently there's access through this property with trails, and First Light allows the public on their property, so people can access the river at will. This is just a boundary survey. What this shows is the blue line is the boundary of the complete property. These interior lines show 3 leaseholds. The shaded green is my leasehold, which is about 7.7 acres, and the rest of the property is leased by Valley Housing Co-op. I'll mention here that, so there's 3 stakeholders in this property. The property owner is Valley Community Land Trust. They are, the mission of the land trust is to own property and make it available for affordable or attainable housing. They own about 200 acres through various towns in Franklin County, and they're based in Coleraine. The second entity is my company, Noble Home, again, leasing about 7.7 acres, and Valley Housing Co-op is leasing the remainder of the property. And The reason for bringing them into this conversation is that we're, this property will be built in 2 phases. So my project is a phase 1, which includes the 22 units that I've been speaking about. Valley Housing Co-op has plans in the works for developing 12 more, up to 12 more housing units on their leasehold. And the reason why that's important to discuss now is because they are going to be sharing the civil infrastructure that we'll be building. So it also affects the special permits in terms of asking for extending the residential use. Actually, that's the reason. If they have zoning relief for their project, they'll be bringing that to you in the future.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Did anyone from Valley Housing Co-op come with you today?
Oh, yes, there's a few representatives here.
Can I don't mean to interrupt. I don't want to
No.
interrupt you a lot, but, all right, so the land is owned by an entity who's leased it to you and Valley Housing.
Yes.
Who leases the 1.102 acres that's the current structure?
That's also Valley Housing Co-op. So they're leasing 2 parcels, 2 leaseholds.
So the 12 additional units include those 4 units?
No,
So so in addition to the 4 units, there's 22 plus 12.
I think so.
That's what you're hoping for.
Is that right?
And the terms of the ground lease, do they allow you to access your property over Stone Farm Lane?
Yes. Well, we'll be working on,
But currently, do you have that legal right?
not currently. Our leases are going to be changed once we go through this process.
We mentioned the civil infrastructure. Does that take into account the 14 additional houses?
Yes,
So
it does.
whatever water, sewer, power, that's included in your proposed design?
Yes.
So to tag on to that, so what you're saying is that your project needs that project.
No, it doesn't.
So there.
It's the other way around, though. At this point in time, their project requires my project. I'll be building the civil infrastructure. They will.
Because I want to just make it clear, I like to get this out on the table right now, that we do not have an application from Valley Housing Cooperative before us.
Correct.
It's fine that you mention them, and it's fine that, of course, we need to understand. But so you could mention them, but if they're not, it's not relevant except to the extent that it's part of your project, but we're not making a decision about those units. You understand that?
Yes.
There was a question, Dave, I think by the public, when I read some of this, is do they have enough capacity in the design of their project to handle water and sewer when they go to build that? So
The second being when Valley comes,
so this project has to have enough capacity to handle.
Right.
And there was, I read in some of the public correspondence, there's a concern about that. So
The other, I guess I would.
so to answer, you're engineering your project so that 12 more units can take on the capacity of what you're going to put in there for your 22 units.
That's right.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Thank you.
So a little bit more about the property itself. So it's 32, aside from the existing duplexes and the driveway, it's 32 acres of quote raw land. But the history of this land, well, it was back forever, of course, but back in the 40s and 50s, it was heavily gravel. It was mining for sand and gravel. So if you look at aerial photographs from the 50s, much of the site was cleared. And if you walk the land now, there's valleys and pits and piles of sand. Most of the vegetation was cleared. So the current vegetation now is, and as this plan shows from a biological survey, what's in green is areas of non-native vegetation and a lot of primarily invasives. And then the reddish areas are areas of dense knotweed and bramble. So it's also, it's part of the goals of this project is to not only bring housing to this property, but also bring it back into ecological health and bring back biodiversity, which is pretty much missing from here. This is just an existing grading plan. There's nothing new shown here. It shows, oops, I'm sorry.
Before you do that, can you begin to point out for us and the public, generally speaking, where the 22 units will be?
Yes, it's going to be in this quadrant here, north of the existing duplexes. So these two are the existing duplexes. This is the existing gravel parking and the existing driveway. This is an existing access lane that First Light and Eversource use.
And where will the new parking lot go?
Right in here. So there's gonna be new parking here and new buildings.
And there's a wetland area below?
There's wetlands here and wetlands down here and a certified vernal pool over here, I
But
think.
the closest wetland to what you're doing now is right in the middle.
Right in here. And this is the 100-foot buffer. And what we're doing takes a little corner right within the 100-foot buffer. So, and all of this has been obviously reviewed by the Conservation Commission. And we have all the,
And they made a
Stormwater.
determination.
yes.
All right.
So in
Yeah,
terms of
okay, to
zoning,
interrupt you. So RA, you have lines that show the designation of the zones, right?
yes,
All right, that's important again for people to see, especially the board, that RA is your phase, but RC is the valley phase, right?
That's
Is that what I
correct.
say?
yes.
Okay,
Yep.
go ahead.
So, yeah, phase one. So I'd like to point out, as I'm sure the zoning board knows, is this RA zone, actually, in the overall zoning map, much of, didn't need to draw it. Much of Greenfield is in RA zone, and then High Street is here, and there's a section of commercial, right? So residential commercial along there.
That's finished.
And then interestingly,
French King.
I'm sorry, okay. Interestingly, on the other side is another section of RA. And I believe that was created in order to create this existing neighborhood. Right? So the fact that we have an RA district and urban residential is created for high density residential use. See here. So down to the non-conforming lot. Again, the only reason this lot is not conforming is due to the lack of frontage. So frontage on Stone Farm Lane is right here. It's currently 50 feet. And 100 feet is required. I would say that the fact that I'm in an RA zone, actually, I'll back up a moment. So in terms of density, you can see here, there's a variety of lots, each with a single family home. And what I'm building is 22 units. And if you include the parking, which you'll see later on, it's less than 3 acres total. And I'm leasing 7.7 acres. Let's go to the next slide. So this shows a little bit more of the density layout. So as you can see here, the complete 32 acres with the footprint of buildings we're putting on compared to the footprint of the buildings to the north, it's clear that what we're doing is a much lower density than the existing neighborhood and also what's allowed in the zoning district in general. And the reason why, and that's intentional, because we want to keep the land, as natural as possible and keep the public trails and so forth, which I'll go into more. But the red dots here actually signify existing trails. And we plan on maintaining those and improving them. And Valley Housing is working on getting easements with the city to create easements for those trails, so they are there in perpetuity.
Excuse me. Is that road that's being developed, does that go into the RC district?
Yes, it does. It's right here.
The question was, is the road in the RC district? And the answer is yes. At least the bottom, the southern part is.
Right. So we plan on keeping much of the land as natural as possible and increasing the ecological viability. Also, in terms of wildlife corridors, I estimated a approximate corridor here with this lighter shade. And there's a pinch point here of about 600 feet here. And we won't be lessening that amount for wildlife corridor. Keep maintaining the natural preserve. Say. In the zoning bylaw, it asks applicants to look at alternative plans, how else the property could be used. And this is an example of one alternative plan, which would be more in line with the subdivision law, creating a subdivision road, for instance, here, and then a series of building lots. This happens to be a rendition of a plan that was approved by the zoning board in 2006, fully permitted for 14 building lots, each with duplex houses, septic systems, and a large subdivision road, and a loop that actually came off of Stone Farm Lane and onto Valley View Drive. I thought, well, this is a viable plan, but it's not, it doesn't match the values of Noble Home, Valley Community Land Trust, or Valley Housing Co-op. We really wanted to keep the land as natural as possible and cluster the housing together. And again, if you look at this property compared to, or I'm sorry, you compare this plan with the alternate plan, and you can clearly see that we're utilizing much less of the property and able to keep it in a more natural state. I'll move on to some architectural drawings. This is our local site plan. So this dotted dot here, this line is my leasehold. And these are the two existing duplexes. So right about here is where the grade starts to steepen up toward the neighborhood to the north. So my plan consists of two buildings. The building to the south here consists of 18 units. The building to the north consists of 4 units. We are clustering the parking here, and then some more temporary parking here, and with areas for delivery, trash pickup, mailboxes, bike racks. This plan also shows our lighting plan. All the dots with the L's are lighting, which we can certainly go into at some point if you're interested. This is our landscape plan. All of our new landscaping will include Franklin County native plants, a mixture of wildflowers, shrubs, and small trees. To the north of the main building, we plan on, it's a fairly steep grade, so we plan on some terracing with some large boulder walls with native plantings there. In the future, they could easily be dug up if new owners want to do some vegetable gardening or other types of gardening. That's going to have some great south-facing views there. A little bit about the buildings themselves. For both buildings, the units are clustered together. They're technically multifamily housing, but it's not a traditional apartment building. There's no interior hallways, no front door. Each unit has its own entry to the outside, either via a patio at grade or a deck or a rooftop. All grade units. Accessibility is mandated by the Architectural Access Board of Massachusetts. So all grade units need to be wheelchair accessible. And we will have a number of fully ADA compliant units as well. Oh, actually, back up. So this is the hey, okay. Yes.
The question on the site, on the design, there's a sewage pump station included in the design.
Yes.
Where is that?
Oh, I'll do some civil engineering drawings.
show that.
We'll show that, yeah. Just quickly on the floor plan. So this is the level A, which is the ground floor from the south side. There's 6 units. There's a common area greenhouse unit and a common area for just common space, which includes laundry services. There's bike racks. The mail cluster is here. Trash and recycling will be here, which will be a independent service to collect trash and recycling, as well as delivery parking. Building code mandates all kinds of things like EV chargers and lighting and so forth. Again, we can get into. We'll have there'll be signage on the property. Most of the signage will be directional signage, for emergency personnel, where to go, where to find what units, that sort of thing. Really the one entry sign will be right here along this pathway, which will be integrated into a retaining wall. Level B, which is the second floor, is also a grade level floor accessed from above. So these first grade units are actually burned into the hillside. And these egresses here are like window wells. So again, this minimizes the height of the building and how much they're sticking out of the hillside, really trying to blend this into the hillside as much as possible. So again, the second floor is accessed from above, and those are also grade units accessed from this pathway. Each unit has its own entry gallery. And there's also stairways that lead back down to the first level. So there's various ways to inhabit the building. Level C is the third level, and these are, you might say, like rooftop units. So they're accessed from this northern path with a egress stair up to a rooftop, a habitable rooftop. And then each unit has an access via the rooftop.
Can a vehicle get down that northern path? Emergency vehicle, an ambulance? Or?
It's not really made for emergency vehicles. I mean, they could, in an emergency, but it's not technically, we're not calling it,
Where would the,
emergency access.
where would the emergency vehicle go?
They would go down here. And I'll show you,
How would somebody get from
Or-
from the rooftop to that ambulance?
it would be through the stairway,
So they go down to that path.
down the stairway and down here.
You only have one way off that rooftop?
Oh, no, there's a secondary egress on this side. Yeah. And, by the, I believe the fire code is you need to have, less than a 250-foot access to any unit from emergency vehicle. Oh, and it's fully sprinklered buildings as well. Level D, so this northern building is up the hill a little bit. It's a little higher grade than these buildings. So level D is the first level of that unit, and level E is the second floor of this building. It's not as high as these, I can see those.
So can you reorient us? So generally speaking, the one you just spoke about is on the left.
Yes. Well, right, the small building to the north is this building, and this is the main building.
So those are the two structures.
Yes, two structures. This is, the existing duplexes are down here. So our driveway or the walkway is here. So this is the first level. This is the second level, which is accessed from the path on the north. And then there's a stairway up to this rooftop, which accesses these units. So as you go up the hill, the buildings aren't really getting taller. We have an average grade of this line here is our average grade for the building, and we're 32 feet to the uppermost point of the roof. The second building is just 2 stories and again bermed into the hillside. So from behind the buildings, it's really a 1-story building. Visually, that is.
What are the dimensions of the building?
You know, offhand? 170. The total, the footprint of the buildings is about 11,000 square feet. Footprint.
The parking lot to the furthest apart, what's the walking distance for that?
I do have a plan that shows the. Oh, it's here. There's a dotted line here. This is a 250-foot line from here all the way around to here. And then from this point, it's 250 feet all the way up here on the roof, all the way to this last unit here. So I guess you'd say, I mean, it's a maximum of 250 feet.
Are the walkways relatively level? So if someone's walking with a wheelchair?
Yes, the only place that's not, yeah, is this section here is a steep grade. But from the parking lots, this is all wheelchair accessible, all to these units. And from here, this is all wheelchair accessible to this back unit here. The upper building's not wheelchair accessible.
No elevators.
No. The site section illustrates how much we're really trying to build into the hill itself. So again, these are the existing duplexes here. This is our main entry to the first floor. This is the second floor. And then these are rooftop here, but they're not actually accessed from, because I guess where this site section is cut, you do have to go up a set of stairs to reach this rooftop. So it's a little Yeah, it's cut in a funny place. And this is the second building beyond. But it does show fairly steep grade. And these are buildings on Rise Avenue.
How far away are those buildings?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, we're at least 100 feet to our property line. I think these are more. We can look on, back in the floor plans. And these are just some, views of what buildings look like. So again, this main view is looking from the southwest. So this would be, this is actually the parking area for the duplexes here. This is our trash and recycling area. Beyond is our parking area. And this is the walkway, southern walkway to these ground floor units here. And this is the path where it gets steep up the hill and wraps around to the second floor above. This view here shows from the main parking area. This is the northern path. Again, it goes between the two buildings. This is the second floor of the main building, access from this path. And here you'd walk down the path here and across to access the first floor. And up again, this path would require going up a few steps to reach the northern building. This is some traffic data that we acquired partly online, and we also did our own traffic counts on several days. Some of the existing traffic on High Street. See where,
What's the source?
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm gonna get to you guys. Well, the number for Stone Farm Lane, the average daily traffic of 300, that's from the FERCog. Showing 300 average trips per day. That was counted in 2006. That's the latest data.
Please, 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 please.
And then
Keep it to yourself.
2024 from Mass DOT, the French King Highway shows 4,097 average daily trips. That's going both north and south. On our traffic counts, we did traffic counts in peak AM traffic. So we did a few at 8:30 to 9:30, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And we picked the highest numbers that we came up with. Leaving Stone Farm Lane was a total of 13 trips, 13 cars. And here's a close-up of that. It's 9 cars turning left to go south toward Greenfield, and 7 cars turning right to head north, High Street. And on High Street itself, 321 cars heading toward Greenfield, toward downtown, I should say, and 268 cars heading north. Yeah, that's the peak AM traffic. I don't have, I have this chart in my narrative. I could go over some of the other, what we expect our traffic to add, right? And we used standard Institute of Traffic Engineering information based on their chart is. It's not on my. Got it. Oh, no, it didn't, yeah, I don't, something happened like, it's that little here. No, it didn't. Stop. Anyway, got the number here though. The daily trips,
Can we, excuse me. Who's Lisa? She part of your team?
They're correcting that.
No, I understand, but I don't want people doing that. So
I don't know if I can stop them from posting chats.
folks online, please, you'll get your chance to speak. That would be a great time to do that. Thank you.
Based on a chart from the Institute of Traffic Engineers, their daily trips per dwelling unit for a mid-rise multifamily is 5.44 trips per day. And then the peak hour trips per dwelling is 0.36 in the AM and 0.34 in the PM. So that's per dwelling.
What does that mean?
So that means we're adding. This is where. Sorry. This is where the information I'm doing for traffic is based on 34 units and not just my 22 units. So I'm doing some traffic information on the total potential future build out of this property.
What is that?
So
What did you learn from that?
so we are adding on a daily basis 185 trips on Stone Farm Lane
If both projects were built.
if both projects were built and maxed out. And consequently, the peak AM hour, we'd be adding 12 trips for that hour.
If you had the
If we had the full 34 units.
30.
Right. Based on the Institute of Traffic Engineers acceptable standards and the level of service, we're still within an A level of service on Stone Farm Lane. And the fact that we're adding 185 trips to High Street still keeps High Street at a level A service, which is basically a ratio of what the road volume can handle to what traffic we anticipate. And I've got those numbers are all in the narrative that I wrote up, how that's calculated.
What do you think need to be done to the existing stone?
Sorry.
Lane?
You can speak up just a little bit. Everything.
Is there gonna need to be anything done to the existing stone farm lane up to where your property or your project starts?
Yes, we're going to be upgrading the existing driveway to town standards and appropriate for emergency vehicles and so forth, which brings us to some of the civil drawings here. So these are some grading plans for the new driveway. And I believe we're going to 20 feet wide. I'm not totally, it is information here.
Page 14.
Thank you. That's where the information is. Yes, we're proposing a 20-foot wide gravel roadway.
From where to where?
From the beginning of our property here all the way to the new cul-de-sac that we're building here through this parking and back. So this cul-de-sac is also the turnaround for emergency vehicles, and it's designed with for the fire department standards and so forth that we were given. We've also changed the grading quite a bit. Right now, the existing driveway is, first of all, it's a steeper curve here, so we're making this curve quite a bit more gentle and stretching out the grade. Right now, it's quite steep here and then flattens out pretty quickly, and we're building this curve up and making it more of a continuous grade. It's still a little bit steeper than we'd like, but we don't have much choice in the matter. You've got an elevation here and you've got an elevation down here, and we've just got to make that as easy a sweep as possible.
Will the civil infrastructure be under that roadway coming in?
Under what?
The roadway that you're building is the water and sewer under the road? Or is it off the?
It's going to be, actually in this part, it's going to be a swale and it's going to be collected and then piped into the stormwater management system.
Services.
Yeah, the services coming in, water.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's
power.
yes,
and
yes.
Under the road that you're building.
Exactly. It'll be along the road.
Along the road, not under.
Right.
Can you show where they? So
I
where will you connect to the current city water and sewer?
think so. Yeah. Oops. Okay, is it on this plan? So this shows, this would be our water line here.
And
It's going up the hill to. It's gonna show here. Here, oh, here we go. This is it. This is the water line. Right up to this water line here, the end of, not Sunrise. Valley View Drive, thank you. The end of Valley View Drive. The sewer, we're having a pump
And you-
station.
you can go over your own property to get into that public way. That's across your property up to. that
Yes.
point of the public way.
Exactly, the public way
I see.
ends here.
Yep.
And the first lots of housing are actually here.
And where's the sewer line?
The sewer line is, so there's gonna be a pump station. I think this may be it here. And then it's gonna go along our roadway up Stone Farm Lane to Stone Farm Lane and Sunrise Avenue, where there's a manhole.
Has that pump station been built or designed or?
It's been schematically designed, hasn't been detailed yet, but there's been discussions with DOT and so forth. We're waiting to see our results, the permitting it here before going through the process of detailing. But it's,
Is there a generator that goes along with that?
Power?
Is that powered by a generator when power goes out?
It may, or also, or, I mean, there's a large capacity to hold several days worth of stuff. Just like a regular residential system, you have a 1,500 gallon tank. Or if you have like with a septic system that's pumped, you have a 1,500 gallon septic tank, but also 1,000 gallon tank for the pump station itself, the holding tank. So you,
All of this is in the,
oh,
all of it is in the civil.
Okay,
right, the civil set.
What's the size of the water line that's
It's going to be
connecting to?
a 6-inch line. I think is what we're proposing. And that's the 6-inch line is what's existing. In Valley View Drive.
And that's adequate for the whole project and the other 12 units?
Yep, I believe so. Look at my notes here for some of the civil.
Saw that the DPW responded and also will take care of fire protection.
Well, we had informal discussions with them. We haven't had any kind of determination of that. Is that part of
We're
this?
proposing a sprinkler system.
Yes, yes. And that's required by building code, state building.
I'm worried about the size of your paths going up and around in the wintertime, 250 feet. Got to get a wheelchair or a stretcher uphill, downhill. In the wintertime, if they're not sanded to get somebody out of there, they wide enough to get an ambulance through. You're asking an awful lot nowadays. Our aging population is getting much heavier.
Sure. So if I get back to the local site plan. So there is no really, I mean, obviously there are some stairs, but if the emergency vehicle is parked here, this is all wheelchair accessible along this path to all these second floor units. And if they were to park here, this is all wheelchair accessible along here. So the only accessibility issue getting to units would be these third floor units here and the 4 units up here, which would require some stairs.
I'm assuming once this is built, there's some kind of property manager that's gonna keep snow out. Keep all
Yes.
the waste clean, to Jim's point, getting people in and out of there.
Exactly. There will be, the plan for this is, these will all be condo units, so there will be a condo association, which will in turn take over the leasehold. Condo association will be, keep up the maintenance and so forth, landscaping and that sort of thing. So. The other major component, which has been reviewed by the Conservation Commission, is all the stormwater management. So the system here is actually rather simple. First of all, we're taking on a lot of water here. As you know, this is a pretty steep hill. There's a lot of water on the hill, creating new buildings, new parking area. But also, there's about 200,000 square feet of land north of us. All that water is coming down to this property right now. It's full of pollutants, whatever is being sprayed on the lawns, it's coming down, heading toward the river and into the vernal pool. Our proposal is catching all that water and treating it before it goes back into the ground. So, as my civil engineer says, we're making up for past sin here by collecting rainwater from our neighbors, bringing it down through this channel, down the hill, to an existing gravel pit right here. And this gravel pit is going to take all that water and everything, take all the water, clean it, deposit it back into the ground. The only time there will be any overflow is potentially the 100-year storm. And any overflow will be caught again by another catch basin here before it leaves and it heads to the vernal pool. That's the natural grade. Is if water was to leave this pit, it would head to the vernal pool and downhill. If you're good to go on site, there's a reason why this land was mined for gravel. You could take a pitcher of water. If you dig a hole, put a pitcher of water, it's going to disappear as quickly as you can pour it in. And our engineer went down here to do some testing, and he couldn't even test how fast the water went in because it wasn't even holding. So the amount of water that this can take is enormous.
How many gallons?
Good question. We have. Is it in the air or stormwater report? Right, the stormwater.
So let's look at just this presentation that you're making.
Sure.
For the board's benefit, you made a representation that there's water that comes off of the existing subdivision.
Yes.
So the first question that comes to mind is, are there drains up there that capture the groundwater? Or is it, or that doesn't exist in the subdivision?
I'm actually not quite sure.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
So the water comes down. Do you have any idea of how much water generally comes down off of that you're capturing and putting into this
Can't
system?
remember, but we do have it detailed in here. Maybe on the plans. If we have it.
Can you give me a general idea?
Sorry, I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, we have peak, I might be able to find it real quick. Peak discharge rate.
Is there somebody calling? I don't have any.
Afraid I'm not really up.
Okay.
That.
All right. Do you feel confident that this is your engineer?
No, he's.
Do you feel confident that this drain water and the pit that you created, or the place you created, there's enough space in that pit that to take all the ground? That you represent?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
And my engineer would have showed up tonight, but he had another presentation that he had to be at. He can certainly be at subsequent.
Yeah, there
meetings.
might be, maybe we'll get into more detail.
Yeah.
Another meeting.
Did the Conservation Commission review this issue?
Oh, in detail. Yes. We had 3 Conservation Commission hearings.
No, so
Or
they,
3.
this is about
About the ground.
groundwater and the pits, they did,
Mhm.
and they approved it.
Yes.
You're really only obligated to manage the impervious surface on your piece anyway. You're not obligated to manage what comes down the hill
That's right.
from abutting properties or from other pervious areas.
But they're doing it anyway. Right? That's your understanding?
I think it's,
That's what he's saying.
that's what he's saying, yeah, but it's not, I don't think is the system sized to manage that water, or is it just sort of a byproduct of that?
It's, well, we knew we had the capacity to do it. So we said, yeah. Because it was not a overreach on our part to make it happen. Because that pit could take pretty much as much water as you could.
They did it because it percolates.
Yeah. You wouldn't even be able to measure the perk.
Okay.
In fact, he's got to slow down perk by detailing the bottom of that pit so the water doesn't go too fast.
The grading along this northern edge seems really steep. What's, you know, what the grade is here, whether you're regrading back in here? to the
I think right above that pathway.
Yeah, around here and then around the back of this upper
Yeah, I'd
thing,
say 30%. So
30% grade. And so all the water that's coming down that steep grade, is that going into piping that's laid into the ground in there?
yes, it initially hits a swale.
Like a French drain or something?
There's a swale will be planted. And then there's periodic drains that will go into a pipe,
Okay.
catch basins.
So I'm curious about the percolation that you're talking about in the proposed pit.
Yeah.
So you can't even measure how quickly it percolates. Where's that water going currently? It's got to go somewhere.
Which water? Water that we're catching?
The water that is going into, that is
Coming off.
currently coming down the hillside and along there. Is it going into the Connecticut River? Is it going into?
It depends on how significant the rain event is. And if it's a light rain, the land will absorb it before it hits the river. But with the way the existing grades are. Existing grading. So this is the existing grading. Certainly if it's coming off Sunrise Avenue here, it's a straight shot, it's very steep to the vernal pool. So that's concerning because with the velocity of water, it's not going to have time to soak into the ground so much. Where it's a little gentler slope here, it's a much slower, it's still steep, but a slower velocity. The ground has more time to soak up the water. So a less of a chance of that water hitting the Connecticut River. I'd say it's the vernal pool that's probably most at risk for being overflowed and collecting pollutants and so forth. But
So because it's further north, the vernal pool is, and closer to Sunrise Avenue, you're not proposing to do anything to intercept it along that way.
we are, let's see. We're collecting water.
If I may help you, Aren't you collecting the water to protect the buildings from the water runoff?
Primarily, yes.
So there's no buildings over there. So
Yeah.
Right. That was my.
We do have let's see. So we are catching water that's coming down here because this is an exposed swale. So we are catching some of the water heading down, but you're right, if it's right in front of the vernal pool, actually not.
I mean, it seems like you're taking a really wide catchment area that would normally just flow down the side of the hillside and channeling it all into one point. And so all this water that normally kind of drains and spreads out over this whole area is being funneled into one location. Is that a problem?
The excess.
Right.
Well, I mean, all the water that's coming down here is getting caught in these catchment basins at the foot of the swale and then being brought and channeled around to that one location. So instead of it just coming down and washing out over the entire embankment, it's coming and just being all directed to that one location.
Yeah, and that's, that's a function of building on a hillside. So anytime you build on a hillside, you want to either redirect the water or catch it. A lot of times, certainly if you're building a single family home, you're just going to build a swale and redirect the water around and it's going to go where it's going to go. We didn't want to do that because of the river. We would be redirecting a lot of water toward the river.
You're redirecting it to one location as opposed to like a number of like rain gardens or natural structures like that. Instead of spreading it around, you're putting it all in one place.
Well, that's,
Can I, a question, I see sewage pump station here in the lowest end, C 3.2. You would indicate there's some kind of storage tank, and I don't see that on the site plan.
storage tank.
You're indicating that you didn't need to put a generator in because whatever happened with an outage, that excess sewage would go into that tank. And I don't see anything like that.
Right, I don't believe there's a generator.
I just can't imagine walking. Right, figure it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to let the engineer weigh in and some details.
Because I'm looking at this drawing, is the pump station close to the RC district? And again, I'm looking at your development is on the RA land.
Right. Actually sit on. Oh, it's okay. The pump station is actually here.
Here.
I think I misspoke. I think I pointed to this spot earlier.
Because you indicated that road steeps over into the RC area. Is that-
Right, so this is
Looks like
probably in
it's
the RC. I think it's in the RC district itself.
And the size of it is anticipating those other 22 units?
Yes.
Not on 22. units.
So the
12
other
units
extra
total.
12. 34 total.
You know,
A volume to the.
You don't want to have an overflow condition out of the pump station.
No.
Oh, so.
By code, we couldn't.
I know, but I'm just saying, you don't have a backup generator, you've got open day outage and run it. Pump station.
Right.
That tank has to be sized or you put a standby generator. That's my only point.
Right.
You know, there's a law for that, but I don't see that here yet. Pointing that out.
I'm confident it's worked out, but I'm sorry, I don't have the answers. And of course, the Board of Health and.
Because I looked
Lot
at,
to say
I
about
looked at the comments from the DPW, they didn't address anything to that effect
Okay,
from their comments at this point, so. I've worked that out with them.
sure. Understood. Any other simple questions? We can try to not answer.
I have a question about if the pump station for the 22 units is in the RA zone, I'm sorry, is in the RC zone, and the building for it that is generating it is in the RA zone, does that mean that the RC zone zoning applies? If I'm asking that clearly,
I don't know the answer. It doesn't seem to me that the system, it's the units being in the RA zone that would be more tied in, but I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. It's something to think about.
okay, yeah, we should consider that. If the RC zone that is applied to the whole unit, then that would have a huge impact.
Isn't there something in the bylaws about if you're going on, working with two zoning districts, that you have 100-foot additional buffer for your main zoning
Yes.
district or
Yeah.
something? It's like that.
Yes.
I don't know what you call that.
So I just brought that up to make sure, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
Okay.
I mean, the units themselves face a questioning of density. But I don't think the pumping in there is itself part of the RA density questions with that.
Arguably, it could be.
just because it's not the dwelling. But I have looked, so are you done with your presentation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to guide you, I'll start this. I think it's important, and it was mentioned by someone from the, excuse me. Listen, if you want to talk, that's fine, but just walk outside. It's okay to do it, but just do it outside. Thanks. There is a list of criteria under our section 8.3. And while you went through things that might have picked up all the pieces, I think it would be helpful if, for all of us, if you did it systemically, going through everything, you could repeat yourself, summarize things that you've already said, so that everybody can hear it. And if people want to comment on what you said, then that would be helpful. So the first thing is provision shall be made for convenient and safe vehicular and pedestrian circulation within the site in relation to adjacent streets and property. So what you've represented is that Stone Farm Lane, as it's now extended, is your access, right? And you have a parking lot there, and you have pathways around the buildings that will provide foot traffic access. The service level of adjacent streets shall not be significantly reduced due to your added traffic or type of traffic in accordance with the most recent edition of the Highway Capacity Manual. So it's your representation that this additional number, let's say the number is 185. Is it your representation that that traffic will not affect the traffic that already exists in some significant way?
Yeah, I maintain.
The proposed use shall not overload the capacity of water sewer systems, storage drainage, schools, solid waste disposal facilities, and other public facilities. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like some sort of a presentation about the water and sewer systems and, you know,
Sure.
What you know, if you know anything about how extending this will affect the rest of the system. Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Sure, we don't believe it's going to have a significant effect on the city services.
And why don't you believe that?
Well, we're only adding 34 units to, well, I mean, that's an engineering question that I
So you
have
want
no
to
equipment
make,
answer, I'm
so
sorry.
you want to make a list maybe of questions that the engineer might sort of.
Yes, but I would say that we did decide to use the city services, at least the sewer system, as opposed to septic systems, which we could have done on this site, but I think we felt just because of the being close to the Connecticut River, we'd rather not install septic systems. They're known to fail. They're known to leach harmful nutrients that are not good for waterways. So that was an important factor for us.
Yeah, and it is an important factor in many ways. But because you're asking for a special permit, you have to overcome these criteria. If it was a matter of right, then you could just go directly to the DPW and they would answer your questions. Right? We have to answer these questions. So we need an engineer to give us, I think, a little more detail about that. And if you have somebody that could talk about traffic, that's fine too. I'm not sure. Your presentation, Steve.
Mr. Chair, there was a tech review meeting on June 6th with various city departments. Some of what he may be talking may be addressed.
Oh, okay,
For this, so.
great. But I just want to see.
Just saying that there was some.
Yeah, we can read that into the record, public, thanks. I just want to have it, the presentation, at least get to that place. So the adequate methods of disposal of sewage, refuse, or other waste generated by the use. So the sewage is going to go out through this sewage line and it's going to have a pump. You don't know if the pump has a generator, it has a pump, and the size of the pump is designed for not only your number of units, but for the additional units, correct?
Correct.
You shall not increase erosion, flooding, or sedimentation. You spoke about catching water. Can you speak to how, building into the side of the hill will not increase erosion?
Sure. Before embarking on the project, we had a geotech study done. So we had borings of the site and a geotechnical report created with the intention of building foundations here. So they've made recommendations on not only how to support the foundation for these buildings in this type of soil, but also how these buildings will prevent erosion and hold the hillside back. And in my narrative, I do have just a synopsis on their conclusion, which I could read.
It's even hunted.
Where's my construction? So geotechnical study done by Yankee Engineering and Testing Incorporated submitted recommendations for the site and foundation work at the project. In its conclusion, it says, Yankee recommends a comprehensive foundation approach utilizing ground improvement with rammed aggregate piers. RAPs are advised to reinforce the subsurface across the site, enhancing soil stability, providing a consistent foundational base for shallow foundations. This approach effectively addresses the site's variable soil conditions, mitigating liquefaction and settlement risks while maintaining cost efficiency. Foundation drains are also recommended to manage perched water and minimize potential water-related issues. Again, that's just part of their conclusion. I do have the full report. If anybody would like to see that.
Has it been submitted to the city?
It has not.
Would you do that?
Sure.
I think he spoke to this, but maybe this will give you a chance to speak. And the proposed project shall not create a significant adverse impact on the quality of the natural environment, including wildlife, vegetation, air, surface, and groundwater during or after construction. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. Our plan involves restoring the health of this property.
Okay.
It has been gravel mined to the point where most of the vegetation was stripped at some point in time, and the opportunistic invasive species have taken over. There's very few native plants and trees in this area. And in fact, in in-depth discussions with the Conservation Commission, it was clear that any of the vegetation we're removing would be an asset to this property. And we do have a value to bring back native resources. All of our new plantings are going to be Franklin County native plants, whether they're shrubs, trees, other types of perennials. We do anticipate keeping trails available. And also keeping the rest of the property that we're not utilizing for human habitation, keeping them in a wild, biodiverse state.
All right, so here's what, the design of the project shall minimize earth removal, volume of cut and fill, grade changes, and the removal of existing trees and vegetation. Now, you're gonna be right up against what exists today. What is your plan in terms of, removal of trees and vegetations and that vegetation there and everywhere else on the property? What's the plan on that?
Well, Valley Housing Co-op does have an approved invasive species management plan. And I don't know all the details about that at the moment, but that is something that all three stakeholders on the property are going to be actively pursuing.
Okay, what about the cutting down of trees between you and the other properties?
We're going to leave, we're going to leave as much as possible. We're only going to take down what we need for construction.
So how about above to north of construction?
Right, we're going to leave that as is. So there's maintaining the.
On the top?
So this point, basically, right about here. Well, here will be left as natural. So this is the existing woodland. That will all remain. And then we'll be replacing this with a series of small trees, perennials, bushes, and so forth. So above, north of this line will remain as it is.
Which is it thick?
It's young growth trees in anywhere from 6 to, I suppose there's some 12-inch, couple of 14-inch trees there.
But none of your is any of your landscaping consist of planting more trees in that area?
Not at the moment.
What will be the visibility of the new buildings from houses that abut on the north?
Well, in the summer, none at all, but those are all deciduous trees there. In the winter time, through the trees, they'll be able to see a little bit of the roof lines. But it's minimal. But yeah, they'll see some.
Have you done a cut and fill analysis? Looks like you're digging out a lot here for like this upper building especially. Is all that earth being regraded on site? Are you trucking it away or?
A lot of it's going to be reused. It's appropriate to use for the driveway as a base. It's all sand and gravel. Pretty much as it is.
Okay.
So I think that was also determined in the geotechnical report.
It said that they're gonna try and use as much clean fill as they can and then appropriately remove anything that was contaminated.
Right.
And their clean fill can be used also for the brand aggregate piers, which is our foundation base. And being a quarry, it's a good place for getting that material.
These are concrete piers that are getting rammed in?
What gravel? Packed gravel in layers.
And then you build a foundation on top of those. So those act as support for the.
It's an alternative approach to foundation design.
No, I mean,
Well, it's
not common.
So you can do a slab on grade rather than
That,
8 feet down and pouring on.
you don't need to pour footers or anything like that.
That they are the first.
Yeah. Peeve.
It's done. Pretty cool.
It's drainable. It's,
Yeah.
Can you show the map again, the bigger, the map? No, this map. No, the map,
the grading plan.
yeah. So Valley View Drive, you don't plan on having any access from your project to that street, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, So you're done with the presentation at this point?
Yes.
Any other questions?
Question on item 7, it says the proposed project shall not have a significant adverse fiscal impact. Who owns the pump station after it gets put in? Is it turned over to the city and they maintain it?
No, it'll remain
So it
private.
remains yours
Yes,
to take care of and maintain and all that. Okay.
that's right.
What was the question, Peter?
Well, the pump station that's being put in, I mean, I worked on some pump stations in Greenfield. They take over ownership of it. This one here, they're saying as a lessee, they're gonna own it and the city has no expense of taking care of it.
Yeah, I have a couple of concerns about that myself, but.
That was a recommendation by DPW.
Oh, I'm just,
They don't want
just trying, yeah, no, I understand that.
Yes.
I'm just asking that question in the hearing here. So
Is that your question? Any other questions?
I'm not.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'm gonna stop then the presentation and have, 8 o'clock. Do people need a break? Do people on the board need a break? Or can we,
Before we go to public comment there.
before public comment would be fine, but even the clerk to read in the comments of the.
Oh, no, I can go that long, yeah.
So what we do is first we read now, so the presentation's been done, we've asked the questions of the applicant. Now there are things that we've received in writing or reports that we've received from the city that you might be interested in hearing about and the public who's watching. And we'll read those into the record and then we're going to take a little break. And then when you come back, you'll get your chance to speak. Okay?
No, I was not joking earlier when I said this was my first go around with this, so bear with me. I have the letter dated from June 28th, 2024, from the Planning and Development Department, as well as one dated June 25th, 2025. As far as I know, I don't have anything else from other departments.
I would like you to read those first while everybody's kind of fresh on the. So what this is the response from the city. So there's a team meeting on this project when the application comes in. And this is the response from all the different departments within the city. So you'll hear this now from this written report.
Right. And bear with me that both of them are about 2 or 3 pages each. All right, so this first one is from June 28th from 2024. And it was addressed to Noble Home, attention Noah. To whom it may concern, this letter serves as a summary of the issues discussed at our June 26th, 2024 tech review group meeting regarding the proposed multifamily development off of Stone Farm Lane. The project proponents presentation. The following project proponents were present, Noah Grunberg, Noble Home, Adam Benjamin, Noble Home, and Nevin and Ben Goldberg of Valley Housing Co-op. The following city staff was present: Eric Torag, Director of Planning and Development, Mark Snow, Inspector of Buildings, Alan Torag, Engineering Superintendent, Glenn Robinson, Assistant Engineering Superintendent, Dave Smith, Fire Prevention Officer, and Mitchell Vi, Conservation Agent. The following is the project's proponent's presentation. Mr. Grunberg, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Presented the proposed project to the group. He stated that there are 3 parties involved in this project. The Valley Community Land Trust, they do leaseholds. They would own both the dwelling units and property. Valley Housing Co-op, they will purchase the existing homes at 106 to 108 Stone Farm Lane. Noble Home, they would lease 7 acres of land for multifamily development from the Valley Community Land Trust, which would be phase 1 of the project. He stated that in 2005, a project was approved by the city but never moved forward for construction due to the housing market at that time. The previous development proposed 14 new lots with both single and 2-family units. The closing date for the purchase of the property is July 10th, 2024. Phase 1 of the project would be done by Noble Home, which would be a condominium multifamily development consisting of 1 24-unit building. Each unit would have direct access to the outside. There would be no common hallway areas for the building. The majority of the units would be single-level units with flat roof for potential. I'm gonna say flat roofs, it says roof here, but for potential roof decks or other amenities. There would be a common greenhouse area for the residents. They're looking into passive heating and hot water for the units. Phase 2 of the project would be done by Valley Housing Co-op, which may be a single-family / 2-family housing development. He stated that they may request a waiver for any sidewalk requirements as well as keeping a gravel road. He stated that they are looking into the use of gray water to reduce the load on city infrastructure. The timeline for the project would be design and permitting summer/fall of 2024, infrastructure improvement summer of 2025, construction fall of 2025. Mr. Grunberg stated that the neighbors have expressed concerns about a second exit from Stone Farm Lane and the portion that was closed. City staff responded that the road is closed and is now in private ownership. Department comments. Department of Planning and Development. Stone Farm Lane, Assessor's Map R03, Lot 14, Urban Residential RA. Zoning District. The above reference parcel is located within the Urban Residential RA zoning district. Properties to the north and west are also zoned as RA. Properties to the east and south are zoned as Rural Residential RC. Use. The existing use of the property is Land Use Code 109, which is multiple houses on one lot, two-family dwellings. The proposed use category is multifamily dwelling, which is a use allowed by special permit with site plan review and approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals within the RA district. The ZBA meets on the second Thursday of every month in the second floor meeting room at City Hall located at Port Square in Greenfield. ZBA meetings are Zoom hybrid meetings. Phase 2 of the project proposes a mix of single and two-family homes, which would require the creation of a subdivision road and lot development and would require subdivision approval from the planning board. The planning board meets on the first Thursday of every month in the second floor meeting room at City Hall located at 14 Port Square. Section 200-7.1 open space/cluster developments of the zoning ordinance allows a mix of multifamily and single and two-family frontage. The minimum road frontage requirement for multifamily dwelling lots is within the RA district is 100 feet. Parcel R03-14 has road frontage on both Stone Farm Lane and Valley View Drive, but both are less than 100 continuous feet, making parcel R03-14 a legal non-conforming lot. Access. Access to the project is being proposed from Stone Farm Lane. The access drive needs to be a minimum of 20 feet in width per fire code and zoning regulations. Parking. Off-street parking requirement for both single-family dwellings and multifamily dwellings is 1 space per dwelling unit. Parking spaces must be 9 feet by 18 feet. Dimensional requirements and setbacks. All setback and other dimensional requirements appear to be met with the exception of the required road frontage. There is an open space requirement of 40% within the RA district, which cannot include wetland areas under the Mass Wetlands Protection Act or slopes greater than 15%. Applicable sections of the zoning ordinance. Section 200-4.4 C3, uses allowed by special permit within the urban residential district. Sections 200-6.1 C, non-conforming uses. Section 200-7.2, multifamily dwellings. Sections 200-8.3, special permits. Section 200-8.4, site plan review. Permitting. Since parcel R03-14 is a legal non-conforming lot due to the lack of the required road frontage, a special permit application to the ZBA would be under section 200-6.1 C as the primary section of the zoning ordinance of phase 1 of the project. Conservation. Mr. Vai informed the project proponents that this parcel does contain priority and established habitat under the National Heritage Endangered Species Program. He stated that wetland delineations are good for 3 years. Under Greenfield Local Wetlands Ordinance, all streams have a 200-foot riverfront area, so they should ensure that all streams are identified for the project. If the proposed project only impacts buffer areas, a determination of applicability RDA could be submitted to the Conservation Commission. If additional resource areas are discovered, then a notice of NOI may be required. Department of Public Works. Mr. Twarek stated that there is an existing 6-inch water line that runs down Valley View Drive that could be tapped into for the proposed project. The 6-inch water line should be adequate for a sprinkler system. Sewer is available off of Sunrise Avenue, but would likely require a pump station due to the grades. Otherwise, individual septic systems would be required. The DPW recommends a loop system for water service, not a dead-end line. 1 or 2 additional fire hydrants may be required for the development. DPW regulations require a single meter system. Since the development is proposed to be a condominium situation, a waiver of this requirement to allow individual meters may be allowed. There is an existing 3/4 inch water line for the existing units at 106 to 108 Stone Farm Lane that goes to Sunrise Ave. The DPW recommends tying these units into the new system. The project proposes to keep drainage on site with the use of rain gardens and BMPs, which is acceptable to the DPW. He stated that if a turnaround is provided at the building for trash trucks, then trash pickup could occur at the building. Otherwise, pickup would have to occur at the drive entrance. Mr. Twarg handed out a copy of the record drawing for the property and water service cards for 106, 108 Stone Farm Lane. He also handed out a copy of the DPW's policy on water meters. The following permits from the DPW would be required: excavation and trench permitting, 250, water connection permit, 1,500, sewer connection permits, 1,000 if connecting to city sewer. Building department. Mr. Snow stated that if individual septic systems will be done, then he recommends that the project proponents contact the health department sooner rather than later. He stated that Massachusetts will be adopting the 10th edition of the state building code, which uses the 2021 International Building Code. There is a 6-month concurrency period that will end December 31st, 2024. He stated that Greenfield is a stretch energy code community. He recommends that flow testing for fire hydrants be done as soon as possible. He stated that a turnaround will be required for emergency vehicle access. He stated that at minimum, a 13R sprinkler system would be required for the multifamily development if the building is under 4 levels. The project proponent asked if a single egress is possible for the units that are at ground level with direct access to the outside. Mr. Snow responded that it may be permissible, but that further analysis would have to be done for final determination. Mr. Snow inquired on access to the back of the building and stated that an open perimeter around the building may be required. He inquired on the construction type. The project proponents responded heavy timber construction. Mr. Snow stated that Chapter 5 of the state building code under height and area has a formula for open perimeter. He stated that he would hand them a copy of the building department's checklist after the meeting. Health department, there were no comments from the health department. Fire department, Captain Smith stated that the project will fall under the 527 CMR 1 2021 and pointed out section 18.1.1.4 of the code relative to access drives. He stated the access drive must be 20 feet in width with a turnaround. The fire department will need access to the site by way of a Knox box. He handed out the turning radii requirements for the fire department. A second way in and out of the proposed development may be required. He stated that he did a recent inspection of 106 to 108 Stone Farm Lane and that these units do have fire protection. Captain Smith inquired on the potential use of gray water for the project. The project proponents responded that they would use the gray water for landscaping purposes to reduce the impact on city infrastructure. Licensing, there was no comments from the licensing commission. Please be aware that the above comments were made in regards to your proposal discussed at the meeting. If you change your plan in any way, the above comments may change and you need to contact all town departments to inform them of the changes made. And then just if you have any questions, to reach out to Eric Torog, and he signed it with first copies to everybody who attended the meeting. I'll show you all that detail. Okay. And this is an updated memo from June 25th of 2025. Recommendations or the review comments of the proposed 34 unit multifamily development at 106 to 110 Stone Farm Lane. Recommendations. If the board is inclined to approve the application, then the Department of Planning and Development recommends the following conditions of approval. 1, this approval is for phase 1 of the project to be built out by Noble Home LLC. An applicant will need to come before the board for approval on phase 2 of the project to be built out by Valley Housing Cooperative. Zoning district. It references the same property. The above referenced parcel is located within both the urban residential and rural residential zoning districts. Properties to the north are zoned as RA. Properties to the east, west, and south are zoned as RC. Non-conforming lot use. The minimum road frontage requirement for multifamily dwelling lots within the RA district is 100 feet. Parcel R 3 has road frontage on both Stone Farm Lane and Valley View Drive, but both are less than 100 continuous feet, making parcel R 3 a legal non-conforming lot. The current land use code for the property is 109, multiple houses on one parcel, for example, a single and a two-family on one parcel. The proposed use multifamily dwelling, 24 units and under, is a use allowed by special permit with site plan review and approval from the zoning board of appeals within the RA and RC zoning districts. The proposed use multifamily dwelling, 25 units and above, is a use allowed by special permit with site plan review and approval from the zoning board of appeals within the RA and RC zoning districts. Phasing, the proposed project at 106, 110 Stone Farm Lane is a two-phase project with a total build-out of 34 units of multifamily housing. Phase one, Noble Home LLC is a leaseholder of about 7.7 acres of the total 32-acre parcel. Noble Homes is proposed to build 22 dwelling units, split between a building with 18 units and a building with 4 units. 10 out of the 22 units are proposed to be accessible units, which is 45% of all units. Phase two, Valley Housing Cooperative VHC is a leaseholder of about 25.5 acres. VHC proposes to use about 2 acres of this select section of the parcel for development, leaving the rest of the land as open space and wooded. VHC is proposing to build 12 dwelling units. Access to the project is being proposed from Stone Farm Lane. The access drive needs to be a minimum of 20 feet in width per fire code and zoning regulations. The plan calls for a 20-foot wide access drive. Conservation Commission review. The Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions on September 9th, 2025. Traffic impact statement. Based on the submitted traffic impact statement, proposed multifamily development will have a minimal impact on the surrounding street network. Parking, phase one. The zoning ordinance requires 1 off-street parking space per dwelling unit. The applicant is proposing 22 dwelling units, which require 22 off-street parking spaces. The submitted site plan shows a total of 24 off-street parking spaces, 2 of which are ADA spaces. The dimensions of the non-ADA spaces are 19 by 20, which meets the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. Requested waivers, phase one. For phase one of the proposed multifamily development, the applicant is requesting 3 waivers from the requirements of the zoning ordinance. They are as follows. Waiver of section 200-6.5D, 2, interior landscaping of parking lots. Waiver of section 200-6.11D, 3D, maximum length of a common driveway. And waiver of 200-6.7A1C, maximum height of an entrance sign. Dimensional requirement setbacks, phase one. All dimensional requirements of the zoning ordinance appear to be met with the exception of the required road frontage and the requested waivers. Utilities, phase one. The applicant is proposing to connect the municipal water main located on Valley View Drive for potable water use and fire suppression. The applicant is proposing to connect to the municipal sanitary sewer on Sunset Avenue for the proposed development. Lighting, phase one. The applicant has submitted details of the proposed lighting for the development. No light fixture is proposed to be greater than 15 feet in height. All proposed lighting is shielded downcast lighting. Signage, phase one. Signs in the residential, semi-residential, and health districts. B, indication sign for occupants of multifamily dwellings units shall be grouped together on one sign, which shall not exceed 6 square feet in area. Such signs may be located at primary entrance to a building and shall not exceed 4 feet in height if freestanding. One entrance sign identifying the name of a subdivision, multifamily, or condominium development not to exceed 12 square feet in area and 4 feet in height, and shall be set back at least 3 feet from the public right of way. The applicant is proposing an entrance sign at 5 feet in height, and so is asking for a waiver of the maximum 4 height requirement for entrance signs.
That's all the municipal.
That's all municipal.
Wow. Take it.
Thank you.
Okay. Sounds good.
10 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, what time?
No.
Yeah. I was studying it right, the same way you tell no. Yeah. We're on the center, and, you know what I mean? Now it's like on your phone.
Yeah, it's in that. There's a number in here somewhere, and I didn't hold in there, but it's like a 60. 130 pages.
Charts and so.
You don't have it all memorized? I told it's gonna be my nighttime reading for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I've read it twice.
I just-
I know that it goes in there.
Like 10,000 numbers.
Yeah. I know it's.
Okay.
I know it's all.
Like you could read it and it's just,
Well, this makes sense. There was no.
come on, Evan, this is your, here we go.
Smarter than me. You know, they just way beyond.
Yeah, right. Where's Bucky? He's got another presentation that he had for. I think it's on Zoom, but I. It's like a government thing.
Yeah.
You can't miss that.
He's good, you know, he's down on LBI right now. Yeah, he's down there for the month. I'm heading down there next week for a week. I'm gonna meet Wes down there and hang out with him. So,
Thank you.
no, you're all.
Do we need to like write it down in our sentence?
More in here.
Yes, it is. Debbie, inviting, pointed out the occupancy kind of helps keep some advantage of that. Not that I want to restrict people coming in, but I do.
Well, it just,
Yeah.
heaven forbid this is something happens.
Oh.
Oh, we gotta slide these down a little more so everybody can get out. Oh, we're back early. Yeah.
Take a walk around the block. Get an ice cream.
Dave's gonna be done. He won't go past it. Some people have to go to work.
He has said that as other meetings. and that was true.
This is not my first.
Everybody else.
Mark Mahoney, when I first got on, he's dead,
Yeah.
so with biomass here in the industrial park, he went until 3 o'clock in the morning. Mark, I would have never done that. I was still working full time. I had to get up at 6 in the morning to go to work. I would have worked right there.
You know what?
I'm not gonna stay till 3 in the morning. That was not this Mark Moore.
No.
Yeah, I knew Mark. He was on the town council.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Oh, God, I miss him.
Where is he now? You know?
He passed away.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was real, he kept the scouts going at Camp Bay.
Before he went years, how it goes up there.
Yeah, he does.
I'm looking forward to when this.
You and I were to go. Right now, it's just painful. If they have scouts, it's at a whole from Ashfield, Vermont, New Hampshire, and all over Western Mass, you know.
Is this the one we put with the water lines?
It's the only way to get out of it.
Yeah.
I think they got 55 kids.
Getting caught.
It's the one.
Hill, I know that.
Bit of a truck.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, these are existing conditions.
we thought it was a very expensive day.
Oh, yes, it's.
The water line's going down still.
So,
I've started about it. Yeah, more than 55.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Stone Farm Lane is here.
here, so this is who private fire marshal comes from out. That's how we'll be glad to go.
Young families going to something.
The reason I asked.
Here's where the pump goes here.
Oh,
Yeah.
The lady at work last night.
so your water,
I think it's.
your water would be,
It's still
is that it?
No, that's a radiant. The water's coming up. It's showing.
Oh, it wouldn't take a unit, probably located up there.
You never can tell though. Yeah, I believe that.
It's right away right now.
This is the end of the street. It's the water at the end of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
And, right there. Yeah, they go for some.
Close the place.
There aren't they water to work on it, right?
There's water to Sunrise to Avenue.
We got
The inches are.
Avenue Greenfield, that's.
350 miles.
After those. who get out
That water line.
Somebody would come along.
Well, I don't know. Supposedly they're putting in a new 6-inch water main.
Yeah, from here.
Then he walked up and he could walk out.
There it is, I mean. You went downstairs to the sunrise.
So this is private property.
He wants to get on it.
We're actually. at 9 minutes.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize.
I asked him that.
It's like maybe November.
So that's his one.
That is Stone Farm Lake stuff.
Parents can find him. David, can find him?
I'm not going to get
Okay.
Why don't we go do it?
You can do that. It's gonna be the bathroom policeman.
I wouldn't go in the bathroom. I just open the door, say mark your late.
The water line was starting to go through there, I don't know.
Yeah, this is between two houses.
Looks like there's an easement through here for the water line.
No, if they increase the size of the next.
I don't know about that.
I didn't like that.
The one guy from Carl.
He dug this up.
Now,
This pipe is really the same. So the fixers line over here, it's dug up right here. Actually, they dug up right right up here.
Yeah, but I just have to.
See how they got.
Well, I think they're getting their water from here, right? This is where it's coming from the end of not Sunrise, but from the end of out here. And it looks like their property does abut that, so this is their property. Yes. So they're getting it from right here.
There's a fixed line out here. I know there's one over here.
Must come down here too.
Excuse me. Good, thank you. How many letters do you have to read into?
Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there is a 11. And then there's 12, I guess technically 12, there's a petition here, which is mostly signatures.
Do we let the people that are here speak first before the letters?
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so, there's only so much that we can listen to and then our brains kind of start to peter out. And you don't want us to do that. So we're gonna go to 10. So I'm gonna let people speak till 10. If you don't get your chance to speak, that's fine, because we're gonna have another meeting. And at that meeting, the engineer is gonna come and make a presentation. Then maybe you'll hear more things, which will cause you to ask more questions or whatever, but you'll get to speak. Everyone will get to speak, but we can't have the meetings go past 10 because it's not healthy for us, and I don't think we won't be listening as carefully as we should, okay? Okay. All right, so, these written letters, I'll try to make these available online, so that you all can, we see what you send individually, but I don't think you get to see what everybody else sends. That's why we read them into the record, so you can hear what everybody has to say, but we will have them read into the record before we deliberate, okay? So I'm just gonna go right to the list and let people speak. As I said, someone I know and respect has asked the chairs of committees not to be so strict in timing people. But that also means that you have some responsibility as well. So when you speak, you can speak for more than 2 seconds, but just be concise. And if I think you're going a little off trail, I'll just ask you to come back on board, okay? All right, so Lynn Waldron. Is that you?
Thank you, that's me.
All right, and state
I'll be
again
quick.
your name and address.
Lynn
No?
Waldron, 71 Solar Way.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
I'm kind of coming at this from a slightly different angle. I pulled up the Valley Community Land Trust mission. And they talk about providing affordable access and limited equity ownership. So I heard you mention condos. So I was wondering if the plan to make, is the plan to make these units affordable, and in what way are they going to be income qualified? Do they have to make less than 80% AMI? I'm wondering if you could speak to your vision. You may not have the details, but I can tell you as a trustee for 10 years at the Wisdom Myself for Village, and having built many budgets, affordable condos are an enormous challenge because of this pumping station. If the condo association owns that expense is huge, and putting money in reserves for something like that is a real challenge. So you may not know yet what that's going to take, but it's a big concern.
Do you mind if we leave that question rest and have him answer it, but make sure he answers it and go on to the next person?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So you hear what you understand? the
Yeah, sure.
question? All right.
I'm happy to,
All right,
you want me
so
to speak up.
I will, but I want to get everything. Okay, so you make sure then that I don't forget. Okay, Andy Leaf. Please, just so everybody can hear you, and your name and address, please.
Andrew Leaf, I live at 18 Sunrise Avenue. I'm speaking as a member of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. I'm going to have to read this.
Go for it. Go ahead.
The applicant claims that its proposed project, quote, "will be consistent with the purposes and intent of Greenfield zoning ordinance." We find that to be questionable, especially in the light of the overall scope of projected development plans for the area. Specifically, the stated purposes of our town's ordinance are, quote, "lessen congestion in the streets, to prevent overcrowding of land, to conserve the value of land and buildings, including conservation of natural resources and prevention of blight and pollution of the environment, and to encourage the most appropriate use of land." The scale and character of the planned developments strike us clearly at odds with these aims. Congestion of Stone Farm Lane would be significantly increased. The affected area would be in total overcrowded. Both the value of our properties and the natural resources of the area would be negatively affected in our view. For this and many related reasons, a number of which clearly call for further investigation by qualified experts, such proposed developments would entail not only damage to our particular neighborhood, but an undermining of the intended zoning protections of our city generally. And that should be of serious concern to our community as a whole. If this is allowed to happen on Stone Farm Lane, it can also happen elsewhere in Greenfield. Thank you.
Beth Lorenz.
Beth Lorenz, number 39, Sunrise, a member of the Sunrise Coalition. While in my home neighborhood since 1986, I'm not a newbie. I started a newbie, now I'm an oldie. I have seen sewer main fails, water lines fails, and asphalt unnecessarily changed chip seal fails. The homes were built around 1964, so the age creates its own deterioration over time, as my body tells me today. The cluster housing of 22 dwellings of Stone Farm housing would increase our homes by over 50%, making it a significant adverse impact on adjacent properties, the neighborhood, the city, and the values. The overall project of 50 or more dwelling units is not compatible with existing neighborhood. The multifamily is out of character with the small single-family homes and would adversely impact the infrastructure that is of needed repair. The development should be treated actually, in my mind, as a major development project, if only to ensure the water and sewer does not have significant adverse impact. Especially if there's multiple owners, they have to create new leases and releases between each other as shifts changed in the construction project. It is why we need an engineering study completed by independent experts, along with our own city engineer review. Based on a number of dwelling units presented, how much sewage is going to be generated? What shared agreement has been executed for the care and maintenance of a pumping station? And who bears the responsibility of it when it fails? The documents are not written, they're not identified, and they're not executed. What is the backup plan and calculation of additional stress on aged infrastructure currently in place that has failed and failed recently, that would be impacted with new connections? Who pays for the challenges to the neighboring streets and connections? The city? What are the specifications for the pumping station? Critical in my mind that an impartial city engineer has been shown, approved and commented on that demonstrates its viability in maintaining service leveling that is available to the neighboring home. We are servicing Sunrise, Stone Farm Lane, Valley View, High Street, Esther Avenue, and Turner's Falls Road home. The proposed should be demonstrated that it shall not overload the capacity of sewer or water storm systems or the storm drainage or the solid waste facilities or other public facilities. Can you honestly say you have enough evidence for approval?
Thank you, Beth. Skip Deskovich.
Skip Deskovich, 23 Turner's Falls Road. So I think it'd be really detrimental to the neighborhood. You're adding twice as much homes, the sewage, as anybody checked discharge side of the sewer line going through the neighbor's backyards that is 60, 70 years old. the 6-inch water main that you're talking about on the corner of Valley, Sunrise Avenue, that's pretty compromised. They dug that up a couple months ago to replace the valve that busted. Looking in there, that pipe is just closed right up. So if you had a flow test already done and it meets the fire department, I'm amazed. That 3/4 line that you say that's on Sunrise Avenue going down to the existing houses is not 3/4, it's 2-inch and it's breaking all the time. Oh, I'm plumbing contractor, I've been doing it for.
I think we recognize the name.
And he's also a certified plumbing inspector for the state of Massachusetts.
Perfect.
I'm proud to say.
So I guess that's my questions. I mean, the existing sewer through everybody's backyard, which should be inspected. And the water line.
Thank you. You're listening. Colby Lund,
Thank you, David.
introduce yourself again, even though I know you.
My name's Colby Lunt, 38 Sunrise Ave, and I have too speaking for the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. We're a sturdy group and we've been deep in this situation for months and months. Each month is a little different. I came here to speak about something slightly different than I'm going to say today, but similar. And I came with a traffic issue in mind. It's important, but I'm going to shift gears to make what I think is also equally important. I was part of the assessment of the numbers of car traffic during the Walmart years, which many of you would remember. It meant we ran through numbers of traffic studies and deep issues to nail down the amount of activity that was going to take place between the current roads that are sit beneath our road into the Stone Farm Lane environment that we're talking about. Those roads are High Street, Silver Street, French King Road, Wildwood Ave, and the Turner's Falls Road that runs over the hill and down to the hill. We track traffic from the activity expected at the above roadways, still sitting there doing the same thing, past Stop and Shop and up to and including the Ceruzzi property that many of you remember that didn't quite finish off the Walmart idea, but is now revised because the city has reinvigorated those properties just up the road as commercial. It means that the amount of traffic going through these areas that were discussed, and I know about inside out and live in and on, are definitely possibly on a comeback that could involve a lot more traffic in that area. The area in Stone Farm is being doubled, as has been mentioned, which is important. That's a lot for a small community, which is now being bordered at real close quarters with some of the better houses in our neighborhood, all of which are pretty damn good. NOAA's traffic report was done by NOAA's people. Yeah, I think you said that, my friend, and in a completely different environment that is now suggested it will be coming back, the commercial return, if you will. I have read the developer's new project narrative. It's just released for this day. It's 25 pages. There's more to it than that. But in doing so, it showed me that not much of the story they tell is backed by independent review of the multiple issues that make up the full scope of the development. They can say anything they want. It's third-party review that's so important. So we ask you to please get independent reviews of these traffic issues, as well and equally important of all the serious plans for development that these reviews require prior to any development of this scope. It's supposed to be the largest development activity in 20 years in Greenfield, if you wonder how big of a deal it is, whatever they want to say about how small their world wants to be. So everybody deserves a fair shake, everybody. And we would like to be part of that idea. So thank you all, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Patty Cromack?
Hi, I'm Patty Cromack. I live at 11 Sunrise Ave and I've been there 39 years. I'm also a member of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. I believe extending and altering and changing the use of the land under discussion for additional housing on Stone Farm Lane will be a substantial detrimental impact to my neighborhood, which will permanently change the character for generations. Some of the proposed generations will cause increased erosion of the soil. The changes I'm referring to include significant modifications to the vegetation, removal of trees, and change in grade that will cause increased stormwater runoff. People who live on Valley View now already are hearing and understand the erosion. Valley View was created out of 91. When the off-ramp was created, all of that fill went over there. So if you walk on that road, or you're doing any work there, you can walk and you're walking in between boulders. So there's a lot of erosion over there that needs to be paid attention to. The plan before the board says due to the steep and woodland nature of the site, the additional plantings around the parking area will require steep cuts and a removal of significant amount of trees for the purpose of planting trees. The narrative states it minimizes the volume of cut and tree removal at the same time. It indicates the need for significant amounts of removal. Well, which is it? The clearing will leave just over 100 feet of woodland between the development and the nearest residential yard. Well, let's think about that. This room is about 25 feet, maybe 30. Multiply that times 3. You're going to see this development. The clearing will be, is our view from private gardens now going to be the rooftops of Noble Homes? This will cause significant impact to our neighborhood and certainly affect our property values. Why will the certified vernal pool only have a 40-foot buffer with low vegetation as protection? Is that going to really take care of it? Is the property poorly selected for this project in general? How far away is the river again? Who in forest management that is not affiliated with this project has reviewed it for protecting the natural resources? Once those are gone, we're not going to be able to bring them back. If what is before you does not have enough evidence to approve it, that would be a reason for a no vote. Thank you.
Trying to take notes. Cindy Pease.
Hi there, I'm Cindy Pease, live at 5 Sunrise Avenue. Been there for 25 years and raising my family in that home at this time. I'm a member of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition, a local Girl Scout leader for another 25 girls that have walked the trails on the mountainside near this entire development for the last 6 years yearly. On those walks, those girls have noticed in the last year how much has already changed in the distance, looking out from Poetry Tower down in the direction of this development. They walk down Sunrise Ave to the end and have looked through the trees and can see all the changes. These are kids in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade that notice how much has already changed since this land has changed hands. To tell us that you can't see the development is not true. One of the things that they've also noticed is the change in habitat. We would like an independent vertebrate specialist to examine the wild habitat in this priority habitat site. No testimony has been heard or reviewed by anybody. The stakeholders have done all the surveys of this land for their benefit only. We expressed our concern for the wildlife corridor along the Connecticut Riverbank area and the impact on animal breeding. It is a part of the ZBA review criteria as it involves a major dwelling unit project that will have an adverse impact on the quality of the natural environment, including wildlife. We also believe that the stormwater report for Stone Farm Lane needs to be independently peer reviewed to determine if the system, as designed, will handle the volume of increased erosion, flooding, or sediment that will occur on the site and into the Connecticut River. This is too important to leave to a layperson's review for their benefit. The revised narrative that we had access to for 2 days to be able to review the documents not executed and required for this project, including on page 14 of their documents, the section entitled Future Proposed Agreements and Easements allude to a series of shared agreements and easements that are not in existence. They have not been written and proved no guarantee to be completed. They are all in their minds speculative. There are things such as a shared use of the driveway. At the Conservation Commission, they Noble Home, their engineer, Conservation Commission, the driveway was not going to be changed. We just heard that they're widening it to 20 feet, which is a town requirement. But the Conservation Commission already said it did not, they told the Conservation Commission it did not have to be changed. And they had already had plenty of wide trucks down there and they fit. So it wasn't a problem and nothing needed to be changed on the driveway. So there's definite things that have come across just for that one thing. The next, shared use of the water and sewer systems. Again, it needs to be tested. They have constantly dug in the road outside of my home to fix the pipes. Not only right at the main intersection where they want to tap into, but across other spots also. An easement for Eversource, National Grid, and First Light to access the utilities. That's always been there. I've been there 25 years. I've watched the Eversource trucks put in rail ties to get to where they need to go along that roadway because it's too wet for them to get through. Then they took out the road ties to get through their right of way because they don't leave it there and inhibit the land. Every single time they have to go down there, they have to manipulate that roadway to get through their own area to their access points. Use of the land for storm management. Part of the plan is snow removal. Who holds them accountable for the snow removal if it changes hands from Noble Homes to the condo association to who? Who watches that snow plow push the snow into piles and then not make sure it's in the right spot? What they told the Conservation Commission was it wouldn't be a problem. Holding people accountable for things as simple as snow removal in a water area is questionable. Trail easement for public use is another point, which in previous meetings of the Conservation Commission, they're talking about this, and we were straight up told by people from this group that to stay off of their land. It's members only. We're not members, stay off of their land. We're not walking on their land, but they made it clear that they don't want us on it, even on the trailways. So I'm not sure where they're going back to saying that they're gonna make it accessible for others. Well, they told us to stay off their land. The ZBA should have a clear understanding of how ownership between the three associations will transition throughout the project to provide transparency on who is responsible for any mitigation that is required. With specific information about the condo association responsible after the home has put all the money in their pocket and is long gone. If the developer has not supplied necessary information, then it should be denied as it stands. Further evidence might make the proposal better, but please don't assume that it will. The developer's job is to present it. Between the roadway that won't be wide enough for kids to walk on, but they want to put in a playground and make this a community area, it doesn't make much sense that my kids now can't play on the existing road because of the impact of the traffic since this land has changed hands. The amount of traffic that has come down this road has made it unsafe for the existing residents. Never mind adding more. Thank you.
Annie McCarthy.
Hi, Annie McCarthy. I live at 2 Stonebridge Lane. I'm also a member of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. And like many of us, I also believe that this project will have a substantial detrimental impact on my neighborhood, my home, and the city of Greenfield. An independent fiscal impact statement should be prepared to examine the potential costs to the city versus the tax revenues that are expected. So simply put, will my taxes increase, my water and sewer fees? And will the value of my home be adversely impacted by this multifamily close by development? Do we know if the land use code for the project in the future will be tax exempt or not? What are the projected values of the homes and assessed values as understood by the peer review study? What is the projected fire and police response or potential cost to the city? Who's performed a study on the overall fiscal revenue from the project and the cost of services? What kind of adjustments to cost of fire, police, and city services? It seems like there are still a lot of unanswered questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Penny. Lisa Gilbo, Gibo, is that the right? Gilbo,
It's Lisa Gilbo.
I should know, but it's the police chief. Right. Lisa Gilbo, address?
Thank you. My name is Lisa Gilbo and I live at 14 Sunrise Ave. I'm tonight not only on behalf of myself, but for our entire close-knit community. I've already submitted a detailed opposition letter that I submitted to the zoning board and to a whole group of people, which you guys acknowledged that you received. We are here tonight regarding mobile homes and valley housing, Stone Lane development that by its own design does not conform to the requirements of RA zoning. This isn't a by right project. It's only allowed if and only if it meets the standards outlined under our zoning code. And we submit that this proposal does not. Under the criteria for approval, a special permit can only be granted if the proposed development does not adversely impact adjacent properties, the character of the neighborhood, its infrastructure, and its environment. This development does. Moreover, this project has moved forward with minimal transparency and virtually no meaningful community input. Even though the developer has suggested otherwise, it's not true and it's not fair. I can see why we weren't engaged, because if we were, we would ask for a change in the scope of this project to better fit with the existing community and zoning. Remember, zoning isn't just a technical process. It's a promise to residents that their voices and the character of their communities will be respected. Finally, we are not opposed to development. We are opposed to the scale of this specific development, its location and how it will impact this community and our daily lives, the infrastructure, the natural habitat and wildlife area, which we need to protect. If the city allows this project under the guise of a special permit, despite clear violations of this required criteria, then it sends a clear message that zoning laws and resident voices are irrelevant, and this will set a precedence. I respectfully, we urge you to uphold the intent of our zoning laws, deny the special permit, or require a substantial reduction in the scale of this project that truly respects the zoning, the land, the existing neighborhood, and the law, because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitchell Spade. Mitchell.
That's not good. It is important sunrise. And as you go sunrise movement. I've been following this process since its inception. And I find Noble Homes and the rest of the entities that are tied with them to be very opaque. There's been some disingenuousness throughout the whole process. I do commend you guys for allowing these people to speak freely tonight. They've never been given this opportunity almost a year. And we hope that you reconsider this project. Noble Homes or Valley could sustain with help. Is it single? Is it a single? Are they single and separate? will be one entity here. Where's the property? I haven't seen them show up yet. I think there's a lot of variables that need to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Al Norman.
Members of the board, Al Norman, 21 Brunel Street. I have a written statement I'm going to give you at the end, but if I give it to you now, you'll be reading it, not listening to it. So I will leave this, Mr. Chairman, for the record, a written statement.
Great.
I wanted to begin with a conceptual problem I'm having with this project, which is that you're being asked to review less than half a project tonight. You have two entities here tonight. You have the president of Valley Housing Co-op is here, but they're apparently not ready to introduce their plan. So you're looking at, they've got 25 plus acres. Noble Home has 7. So they're like 3 or 4 times larger in terms of the quantity of land they're consuming. But from the point of view of a zoning board, I would think you'd want to be able to review the entire project to measure the entire impacts. And to do that in 2 parts is very strange. If you give approval to one, you say to the second one, well, the numbers now don't allow you to do what you're asking to do. It should be done not as a segmented project. The state doesn't like to do that. The NHESP people don't do that. They want to see the whole thing. Ironically, they sent in a determination letter without seeing a word from phase 2. So when we pointed out there were 2 phases of this project, the engineer at the time said, well, yes, that's true. There is a second phase, but we're not prepared to talk about it. They should be prepared to talk about it. They should be here when they're all ready, when they've got all their plans sewed up in here to say, these are the two developers. You're only hearing half of the project. 78% of the total parcel is not ready to talk. And I would ask you to ask these 2 developers to indicate, I can't figure out how many total dwelling units there are in this project. I still haven't been able to figure out, and I'll tell you why. Every time they submit something, it's got different numbers to it. If you go back and look at what they told NHESP and the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act, they gave them different numbers. They were talking about, at that point, 26 Noble Home units. And the Valley Housing Co-op was, quote, 14 building multifamily development. What does that mean? 14 building multifamily. Does that mean 14 buildings, 14 units with 4 family units in it? 14 times 4? I don't know. I would like you to get them to clarify what the number of housing units is. I haven't even heard it tonight, even after the chairman asked for it. So how many units are we really dealing with here? If they hit 50, it's a major development review. I think they're trying to stay under that for some obvious reasons, but ask them to clearly outline that answer. Third point, this is not affordable housing. And I hope this will get into the general media range on this. This is not affordable housing. It's targeted to what the applicant calls, quote, the missing middle class. I'm not sure what they're missing, but these people make between $74,000 and $93,000 a year, which is only a very thin slice of the Greenfield's total housing units, 8%. So these are people who have household incomes between 80 and 100% of area median income. A 3 to 4 bedroom house at Noble Home is targeted that's targeted to 100% of area median income is going to be priced at $320,000. So this is, let's just make it clear, this is not for poor people. With all this discussion about Valley Housing Co-op getting access to $1.4 million possibly of housing bond money, why are we spending state money on people at that income level? Just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think it's something that should be considered by the zoning board just in terms of the appropriateness of the project and its scale and character. Valley Housing Co-op is a limited equity cooperative housing corporation. It serves its stockholders and is not focused on low-income households. Again, they don't plan to build low-income housing. They're calling it they're calling it attainable housing instead of affordable housing. This is a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Noble Home wants to change its use with a special permit. It now has to show you that this substantial expansion for use for 26 dwelling units, by the way, 11,550 square feet of total housing. Did you see the slide that showed the big house, I would call it? It looks like a fortress. I took a picture of it. It's on my house. If you saw it, it's an enormous building. That's like 0.25 an acre of just building. The fire thing is very scary to me that they can't, the fire department said they can get access to the second level where Mr. Grunberg has made it clear that's not necessarily going to be the case. But this is a large amount of housing, multifamily cooperative housing, and quote, you have to believe that it will not substantially be more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use, which is two duplexes with 2 units in it. So it won't be substantially different, whether it's 4 units or 40 units. Seriously, that's simple. I've already figured out with simple math that it's going to have an enormous impact.
Can you,
I'm going to be done soon, David. I listened to an hour and a half, as you know.
I'm happy for you.
I know, thank you, David. The minimalist, what you heard tonight was a minimalist traffic presentation with respect to Mr. Grunberg. He's not a traffic engineer. These are not level A intersections. Any of you who have gone up to Stone Farm Lane and then try to get back onto High Street will understand the frustration of a driver who has to wait beyond a level A level of service. Not because of the traffic light at Silver Street. It's because there's nothing there. There's no intersection signalization at all there. There's a stop sign for me as I'm coming out of there, but I have to make sure that that those people on the south have stopped and those people on the north have stopped before I can go through. It is not a level A intersection. Please, I urge you, have an independent traffic engineer actually do a traffic study of this project, because going to the ITE manual and looking at a few numbers is not a traffic study, and it wasn't done by someone who is a traffic engineer. The sanitary sewage pumping station is designed to pump sewage uphill to connect to city sewer. We need to know if the design of this system has the adequate capacity to remove an unclear volume of sewage, and what is the backup plan if a pumping failure occurs. I think the neighbors need to know that. That's pretty serious. It's nowhere in there. What happens if there's a fail-safe problem? The applicant has not tried to address any of the other review criteria, many of the other criteria that the Conservation Commission totally ignored wildlife habitat. So let's please not talk about wildlife habitat and wildlife corridors until you've seen a study of it. And I don't mean a study by an engineer who has no wildlife expertise. And he admitted that to the Conservation Commission, but they accepted it. But I don't think this board should. And I wanted to point out that under section 208.3H, the ZBA can impose conditions, safeguards, and limitations on the project. I urge you to scale back the size of the number of dwelling units and condo units to make the project more compatible with the character and scale of the existing neighborhood. And let me just add a few notes that David couldn't possibly have added because until hearing the presentation tonight. Emergency access. What happens if the stairways are burning? How do people get out of these units? It's just a maze. It's like a rabbit burrow. Some buildings are not accessible, he said. Gravel roadway. I put a gravel roadway in once, and within 3 years it was gone. The grass had grown right through it, even with plastic underneath. Gravel roadways, I don't understand. Sure, they're better than impervious surface, but after a couple of years, they will be disappeared. The applicant didn't know how much water comes from the existing neighborhoods, yet he's going to divert them. The vernal pool is most at risk of overflow, but that hasn't been dealt with. And the commission, for the record, the Conservation Commission received no invasive species plan. No one has approved it. It wasn't approved by the Conservation Commission. They didn't even see it. Cutting of trees. How many clear cutting of trees is there going to be? solar roofs. A second exit out of the development may be required, says the fire department in that letter that you heard earlier. So yes, I'm very concerned about this project, and let me explain, I'm not part of the coalition. My attitude, Greenfield is my backyard. The entire city of Greenfield is my backyard, and I think you all feel that way too. That's why you're on this commission. So thank you for the extended time and for not holding a stopwatch. David, you take it out.
Oh, he was the guy who was talking about, in case anybody didn't know.
You're the first one to do it.
All right, you want to give me your letter and I'll.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have enough for the,
I just want to make sure
yeah, I have enough for the mapping.
Thank
you.
Sure. I'll make sure.
Thank you so much.
Adelaide. Name and address.
My name's Adelaide.
Can you stand up, please?
My name's Adelaide Petroglou. I live at 112 Stone Farm Lane. My comments just fit on one side of this paper, so I put this.
Go for it.
Okay. The thing we're discussing today is whether the plan is substantially more detrimental than what is currently caused by the less than 50 feet plan or the existing property that has the less than 50 feet, less than 100 feet thing. So the thing that I've been putting my argument around is this substantially more detrimental. A lot of the arguments we heard today so far have been around the idea that currently the neighborhood around Sunrise Avenue is this like idyllic, great place, and any change will be bad. I want to counter with the idea that what's currently going on is not ideal and that the changes we're proposing, that Noble Home is proposing, actually could be improvements. So I have 3 points of what is not so great currently. There's that really steep road that goes down into the hiking trails. That's not great. I've slid down that in my car in the winter time. The plan proposes to kind of even that out and make it less steep. I think that would be an improvement. You guys are also talking about some lack of infrastructure or outdated infrastructure. You mentioned these like 80-year-old pipes, 100-year-old pipes that are needing to get repaired. That's not even part of the plan. That's just what is currently existing. And so like already the situation is not that great. And if we put in new infrastructure with updated technologies that weren't made almost 100 years ago, I think that that could be an improvement. I don't think that that would make things worse. I'm talking to you guys.
No. Oh. Please, just talk.
Okay.
I'll listen. And I won't respond.
Okay. So the second thing that's not so great is that currently the land was used for gravel mining and it's full of invasives. It's full of knotweed. There's another tree that breaks really easily. Again, a lot of the plans that are attached to the Noble Home development include this Mass Wildlife approved plan. Also, the residents that have already been an active part of the Community Land Trust have been improving the land. They've been identifying invasives, pulling them. They've made plans to replace those with natives, which will take root and help with erosion. Another thing that you all might be concerned about. Another thing that is not great at the moment, you mentioned this neighborhood of single family homes and that any change to the character of that neighborhood might not be so great. I would first argue that the character of that neighborhood has been changing over time as those families, the children of those families have been moving out. Maybe now those family homes are 1 to 2 resident homes. That's also changed that you may not have noticed. But also that really represents the housing crisis that is currently existing in Greenfield. So as you said, it's not just this neighborhood that's your backyard, but Greenfield is your backyard. I'm someone who recently moved here. I graduated college, I got all A's, I have a full-time job. I'm not trying to show off. I'm just stating that to say that I've done all the things that I've taken all the opportunities that are available to me, and I still cannot find affordable housing, affordable for me, housing in Greenfield. I have tried to move into an apartment that a friend owned when she moved out, and when I looked at the listing, the predatory property owner doubled the price of that listing for no other reason than that they could, because there's so much pressure on people trying to find housing. So I think that, again, this creates an inhospitable environment in Greenfield for people who are trying to move in, who are trying to be part of the workforce, part of your tax base, and part of the community. And again, increasing that tax base and creating more hospitable housing for that tax base can improve the amount of money that the city has for some of these infrastructural improvements that you all are talking about: waste management, snow clearance, improvements to the roads, improvements to the traffic. I think that we can contribute positively to that. I do think housing developments can be disruptive, just like that 2006 plan that was previously approved, that had so much cutting down of trees. It didn't have as much consideration for pollinators and like low lighting. So it can be destructive, but I think that Noble Homes plan is remarkable in the fact that it's very, it really prioritizes the values of preserving the nature, preserving the aesthetic, and the kind of the quality of feeling like you're in the woods, feeling like you're in a place that's taken care of, and that was designed very intentionally. I will also say that not only the nature is being preserved, but also the housing that's being created. Someone mentioned that it's a very dense building, but it's designed with a lot of community space in mind in order to encourage person-to-person interaction and encourage a sense of community, which I think will be cool. And it might even increase your property values. You guys are talking about change in property values as if it's implied that they will go down. Maybe all of these people will have really cool plans or projects that they're going to put in motion that people will want to be a part of. So I just want to make the statement that if there's change, it might not necessarily be negative. And I think that the changes proposed by this plan are actually not substantially more detrimental, but will improve the situation.
Thank you. Which is very great. Okay. I'm sorry, Sal? Sal Sakata?
Hi, Sal Sampata,
Thank you.
resident of 110 Stone Farm Lane. Hi, everyone. My name's Sal. I'm a resident of 110 Stone Farm Lane, a current resident. Yeah, I'm in one of the currently existing duplexes on the property. It's been really lovely to live in the neighborhood. I'm a resident member of Valley Housing Cooperative, and I'm a teacher. And I wonder in this room, how many of us have teachers in our lives? Those of us who do know that teachers do not make a lot of money. I am strongly in support of the proposed development as it aims to, and I quote, encourage housing for persons of all income levels. And that is a quote from 200-1 of Greenfield's Code, the purpose of zoning chapter. Noble Homes development of 22 units will bolster our ability as Valley Housing Co-op to construct additional affordable housing for ourselves. And this will serve people like me, teachers, social workers, and other individuals whose economic ability for individual homeownership is grim. I hope that you'll consider approving this project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jamie Britton.
Hello, I'm Jamie Britton. I live at 112 Maple Street. I'm here to support the proposed development. Massachusetts is in desperate need of new housing. Greenfield and the Pioneer Valley is in desperate need of new housing. We've heard from a number of folks who've lived here in this community for decades, and I think we can all understand the wariness around having change in an area where we live. The proposed housing is an opportunity for others to join our community, to raise families in our community, and to enjoy Greenfield for decades to come. I've enjoyed seeing this plan. It looks like a good plan. It preserves the area's lovely trails. It has a minimal footprint, and it seems to me that it's being proposed by people who really want to do it right. I hope that this plan is approved so that Greenfield is doing its part to relieve the housing crisis, and so others are allowed to have the opportunity to live and raise families here. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Brown.
I'm Sarah Brown. I'm the president of Valley Housing Cooperative, but it's non-hierarchical, so make that what you will. We just have to list that on the board of directors. And I live at 112 Stone Farm Lane, sorry to say that first. I'm in support of this project. I think that Noah has done an incredibly thoughtful job throughout this whole process. And we have tried to involve the neighborhood. We've had 2 public events last year. We've had 2 neighborhood forums, also just specifically for the neighbors. And we've been not met with the same openness to engage. In fact, I can't wave hello to certain neighbors, and I've gotten harassing calls. So that's where I'm coming from. Just to put that out there, I would love to have a positive relationship with my neighbors, and I think it's totally possible. And I just want to speak to the need for housing. I think that this room is not representative. People here are property owners for the most part, and maybe have been for decades, and they're shielded from the realities of the housing crisis. I know many people who have been unable to find housing are leaving this area, have moved 7 times in the last 3.5 years. Crazy things, horrible rat, molds, like just gross housing situations that I don't think people can truly wrap their head around. I'm chair of the unhoused committee. There are people sleeping right now over in River Park. That's just how it works because we don't have enough housing. Our vacancy rate is 0.1%. Maybe the statistic doesn't really like land, but like that means that there's no slack in the housing market when people are trying to find housing. Greenfield needs housing. There's a housing study plan that says we need 600 units in the next decade. I mean, this is a small dent in that by comparison. But I do think that housing expands our tax base. That's just a fact. This is a really cool way of doing it because the land is owned by a nonprofit. So that's capping the equity. Like when someone goes to sell their home, they're just buying and purchasing the home value, but not the land value, which is really unique for community land trust. And so this is like a cool type of housing development that is mentioned in the Greenfield Housing Plan as something that Greenfield should be embracing. Additionally, co-housing is mentioned in the Sustainable Master Plan as something that from 10 years ago that Greenfield can and should be doing. We don't have co-housing here. And shared common spaces and small efficient units meets the need of smaller homes. Like right now, there's a tremendous under occupancy of larger single family homes. And there's like single person and 2-person households. So even as our population is slightly declining, we are struggling because we don't have enough households. So for all these reasons, I think that I support this project, and I think that Greenfield can be a leader in doing something cool and exciting and forward thinking, and show that land conservation and responsible land stewardship are not at odds with housing development. And I think that this project embodies that, and I think it will create a hub for community, and the ripple effect of that will be positive. So thanks, and thank you for volunteering really well.
Thanks. Emily Kester?
Hi, my name's Emily Kester. I live at 87 Davis Street. I lived in Franklin County for 35 years. The first 32 of them, I lived in Warwick and Northfield, rural parts of the county. And 3 years ago, I moved to Greenfield because I wanted access to more stores and restaurants and services. I'm here to speak in favor of the project because I'd like to live there. It seems like the kind of community I'd like to live in, where it's the housing is built respectfully of the land, where it's built into the hillside, and I would still have access to trails, which I really missed since I live right downtown now. I don't have access to trails right now, and I feel like this is the future of the way housing needs to be. The way housing developments were built back in the 50s and 60s is not sustainable. And this project, the way that I have heard about it and read about it, seems to be a sustainable project. And I encourage you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Devin Murray?
Devin Murray, 110 Franklin Street. I'm just gonna ditto what Sarah, Sal, and Emily 100%. Need housing. I'm a renter, and I hope to be an owner of some housing in Stone Farm Lane one day. Yeah, just to set for sake of time. Yeah, thanks all for your time.
Okay, that's the end of the list.
Excuse me for people on.
I know, thanks.
David, can I see your list for a minute? You're right.
Did you want to ask them if they can raise their hands and we can just call on them?
If people who are online wish to speak, put a hand by your name.
Everybody?
So there's only one page of people, as far as we know?
17.
All right, I have a screen that gives me information. You may have put your hand up sooner than somebody else, but I'm gonna go in the order that I see it. So Michael Mastrotaro.
Good evening. You can hear me, I assume?
Yes, can you put your face up? So no?
You really want to see my mug? Okay. How's that?
It's not because I want to see it, but I'm glad to see it. Thank you.
Okay. Michael Mastrotaro. I've lived in Greenfield since 1988.
Michael, I'm sorry, it's hard to hear you. Can you speak a little louder? Thank you.
Yeah, I've lived in Greenfield since the early 80s. I don't live in that neighborhood. I actually live on the whole other side of town. However, I believe that
Try turning the volume up.
You want me to turn my mic up?
Yeah, hard time hearing
It's
you.
just hard to hear you. People want to hear you and it's hard to hear you.
Okay, let me work on that. How's that? Can you hear me? Hello?
You may have to yell.
Hello? Okay, I will yell. Can you hear me? I'm about to lose power here, so I'll go fast. Hopefully you can hear me.
Okay.
So, I think the Conservation Commission has shirked their duty by not performing a wildlife assessment, habitat assessment, and I'm hoping that the Zoning Board of Appeals can. I have for many years, I'm very familiar with that area. For many years, I have walked down that access road to go to my favorite, not so secret catfish fishing hole on the river. And there are black bear, there are migratory birds, waterfowl. I've been within 30 feet of a bobcat, many small game, coy dog, and I really think that needs to get taken care of, and it needs to be assessed by an independent company and paid for by the developer. You don't need a scientist to know that there is substantial wildlife there, and that is my concern, and I hope you heard that because I'm about to lose power. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Reese McGovern.
Hi, I'm going to stay.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, I asked Michael to go on because he's the city councilor. You can stay, just voice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So
It's hard to hear you though. I don't know if it's our equipment or what, but try if you know how to do it.
Yep, let me increase the sensitivity of my microphone.
I've been trying multiple times. That's what is happening.
Hold a second.
Can you hear me a little bit better now?
First person that yells, oh. It's gonna really blow our brains out, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I hope
Yeah.
you can hear me a little bit better now.
Thank you.
So my name is Reese. I live on Davis Street in Greenfield. I also grew up in Greenfield and have been in and out of the area for the last 35 years. I am thrilled to see a development plan for housing in Greenfield that prioritizes and invests in the current and long-term ecological stability and health of the forested land on Stone Farm Lane. The grade embedded architectural design and planning for vegetation diversity and inclusion of a non-obligatory water runoff management plan to reduce bank erosion are all good examples of this kind of prioritization. Additionally, the efficiency of the building footprints and the unit planning rejects sprawl in favor of more eco-conscious building practices. There are two questions that I would like to bring to the attention of the proponents of this plan. First, I would love to know if and how the walking trails, which were noted in the planning maps, will be marked and available to the general public, particularly how they will be effectively connected to existing footpaths that border the property. Second, it was noted during the presentation tonight that several of the units will be fully accessible, but there are only 2 accessible parking spaces proposed in the planning maps. Given the need for accessible housing in Greenfield and the demographics of our population, that feels insufficient to me, and I would ask that Noble Homes plan for additional accessible parking spaces. But generally, with the need for housing only increasing in our city, I would urge the ZBA to enable this project to move forward. As a city and as a community, we need to support planning that's designed to balance the needs of our population, our local ecosystems, and our planet. And I think this project does a really nice job of working with all of those things within the parameters that they have available. Thanks.
Thank you. Annie Lee?
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Great. Love to see it. Okay, hi, I'm Ani. I'm a resident of Greenfield. I live at 23 Linden Ave. I love Greenfield. I love it so very much. I see myself growing a family here and growing old here. Touch wood. I am deeply invested in seeing Greenfield thrive as a town and community. So I'm really happy to see folks coming together from Noble Homes, from Valley Community Land Trust to really make housing that is accessible and affordable for people who are coming to Greenfield and people who are growing old in Greenfield. I think it's exceptionally important. A stated purpose of the zoning chapter is to encourage housing for persons of all income levels. Greenfield needs more housing. There's just no way around that. And I really trust these folks to do this right, to do it right by the people who live there, the people who live in the wider Greenfield area, and to do right by the land that's already there. And I know this because of how extremely thoughtful these people are in their interactions in Greenfield and in all of the projects that they do, from redistro to being on various boards. These folks are deeply, deeply involved and really, really committed to making this work ecologically and for all of the people involved. I just want to bring up one quick example that's really close to my heart that I think illustrates the need for accessible and affordable housing here. A dear friend of mine who is a farmer and an artist, and you would encounter him at the farmer's market if you're there. He is there every single weekend, growing the food that feeds us, bringing that food to our farmers, to our farmer's market so that we can get locally grown food. In the 3.5 years that he's lived here, he's had to move 7 times. And that's because of a lack of affordable housing. So he's had to move just constantly. It's been so disruptive to his life and so sad and so challenging. And he's had to leave the area because of a lack of affordable housing. He agreed that it was okay that I share that with you all tonight. He lived with us for a few months. I feel very lucky to share a home with my spouse on Linden Ave, but just that lack of affordable housing has been so disruptive in so many people's lives who are coming here to be taxpayers, to be community members, to really help make Greenfield what it is and what it can be. So I want to live in a Greenfield that supports all kinds of people to live here, firefighters, nurses, teachers, folks of all income levels to be able to make up this beautiful, diverse place that we live. And I really strongly believe that this group of people and Noble Homes and Valley Community Land Trust are the people to get it done. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ani. Rose?
Hi.
Hi, Rose.
Hello.
Hi. So my name is Rose Totzer. I live at 15 Valley View Drive. I am the last house, or we are the last house on the left-hand side of Valley View Drive, and will be going from having 0 neighbors on our left to a large condominium with 22 homes, which maybe will have 1 to for people living in them. So going from 0 neighbors to 30, 40 neighbors. When we moved in, we're a young couple. We moved in 2017 into this home. And we have a 7-year-old who was born here. And we moved here to an end of a dead-end street because we thought it was a wonderful, beautiful location, no foot traffic. We could, have our dog out, have our child out side with little to no foot traffic and no neighbors. And I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared to speak, so bear with me. We are a part of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. And I am concerned about the change to the character of where I live, and to the change of scale of where I live. I mean, I live in a colonial home, and obviously what's going to be next to me is not going to be that.
Rose, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
There are 5 other people waiting and the hour is growing late. So if you could
You
sum
said
it
we
up,
had
that'd be
till
great.
10, so just not to cut me off.
Not cutting you off. I'm asking you to please finish.
I
Thank you.
haven't even spoken that long. It didn't feel like, but maybe I'm wrong. So my main concerns are light pollution, because even though the lighting is supposed to be downcast, I don't have any lights currently near me. I'm worried about noise because there's 22 or 21 spaces, which I think is a vast underestimation of how many cars will probably be parking there. I can just imagine everybody's car alarms going off and clicking their locks. And I wonder where the overflow of the cars will park, because if there's 22 units and 21 spots or 22 spots, a lot of homes will end up with more than one vehicle. I do think that calling it affordable housing is a misnomer. I don't want to be on the wrong side of affordable housing. I do think that affordable housing is important, but I don't think, as advertised, this is affordable. $350,000 for a 1,000 square foot home per square foot is much more expensive than what I bought the home I'm in now. I disagree that the land is filled with mostly invasive. I don't know who did that study, but I've hiked the area. There's plenty of native stuff around as well. Yes, abutting this potential property or development, we have a lot of wildlife that comes through our yard. Deer, a bear, plenty of the normal stuff, coyotes, foxes, and things like that. And I do think that might change. We've got a couple of those things on video even. And let's see. I do think that this is a substantial expansion, and that saying that it won't impact our existing homes is a misnomer. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Rose. Peter? Peter,
Hi, sorry, finding the mute button. Can you hear me? Hi, I'll keep it quick. I'm Peter Hunt. I live at 108 Stone Farm Lane. I am in favor of the housing development as described for a number of the reasons that people have already described. I want to dispel a couple of things that have been mentioned that I don't really feel are accurate. One of which, I think traffic coming out on the road on Stone Farm Lane, I've never had any trouble. I don't think any of the people that I've talked to have any trouble. I don't necessarily, obviously, things will probably change a bit, but I think it's, coming out specifically from Stone Farm Lane and taking a left or a right onto that road. I think the trails that we have that are there. Reese mentioned that it would be great to connect those more to public trails. I personally believe that it's I'm part of the Valley Housing Co-op, and I personally believe that it is the intention of the co-op and VCLT and by extension Noble Homes to make sure that those trails stay in the state that they are, semi-public, and the easement remains where people can use them and enjoy the nature. We love that our neighbors love the space, and we love it too, and we want to preserve it just as much, and we want to continue to let people have access to it. So that doesn't change. And I think there's a clear there's a tension between the character that the neighborhood currently has with the housing crisis and the fact that if we were to develop in the way that the current neighborhood has been developed, it wouldn't scale. It doesn't scale, and it can't scale anymore. And clearly we are in need of housing, and there's no reason why this space should be any more exempt from development. I think that the density of it is good for the ecology of the area, and also give more people to be part of community with, and help restore this land that is really heavily affected by mining and just being left to disarray. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Deborah? Can't hear you, Deborah.
She is muted. I can unmute her.
Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yep.
All right. I'm just going to read what I wrote. I heard about this project and I felt absolutely dismayed. I'm a teacher. I had to leave the meeting to do grading, hence I'm on my couch right now with my dogs. But I wanted to speak out. I don't think we should be building more housing so close to the fragile environment of the river. We need to guard against increased pollution and protect the impact on nature. The fact that there has not been an independent wildlife study or a contemporary traffic study, I just can't understand it. I can't understand how or why the previous boards that considered this project would not insist on having that work done by independent entities. In fact, I cannot understand why the developer would come to this board without that information in hand. Not a 2006 traffic study, but a 2025 study. These studies need to be completed ethically and without the appearance of a potential conflict of interest from the developer. And it may be true that Greenfield needs more housing, and we do need to welcome new residents, but that doesn't address why this site and this plan should be passed by the Board of Appeals. In my opinion, if more housing is to be built, we should build on less environmentally critical sites and provide a greater buffer zone between the river and new developments. Seems like a no-brainer to me. What is the impact on people who currently fish and hike in that area? What happens when you introduce so many more people to such a quiet area? Not even sure how many people. What happens when you transform a dark area hospitable to nature into a brightly lit complex? Many people have moved to Greenfield for access to nature. We need to protect the river and return that ecosystem to its rightful state without flooding that sensitive area with so many additional residents and potentially challenging critical infrastructure. I'm a huge believer in native plants, but planting native plants does not equal taking care of the environment. $320,000 for a condo, not low income. Build more affordable housing in a less sensitive area, please. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Max?
Hi.
Max Webb?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Max Webb. I live at 140 Elm Street in Precinct 9, and I'm running for City Councilor for Precinct 9. I have been following this for a while. I am also a native plant gardener around town. I work on a lot of gardens. I can absolutely say planting natives is a way to take care of the ecosystem. In fact, it's one of the best ways to bring more pollinators, which bring more wildlife and more raptors and more birds of prey and keep the ecosystem going. I think it's worth pointing out that Stone Farm Lane was there before Valley View and Sunset Ave were even there as developments. So that developed land has already been harmed and is not in good health. Like there are non-natives there because there are non-natives there. Just because you don't believe they're not there, they are there. The studies have been done. I find it so disrespectful that this Avenue, Sunrise Avenue Coalition keeps telling all of these scientists that are involved that they're not doing their job when they're in a field that doesn't pay them because they're passionate about these things. I also think 2 acres out of 36 is small and it fits the need for housing that we desperately have. And like, I don't want to discount the change of scenery and the change of pace that would be affected, but I think in this time we need to consider that we're at a housing shortage and we all have to make concessions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nina Levinson.
Hi. I just wanted to make a quick comment. I am a renter in the area. I've rented here for 12 years. I am a member of Valley Housing Co-op. I've helped organize this project. We've seen a lot of our friends move out of the area since we've begun organizing. There isn't enough affordable housing in the area. Greenfield itself has plans to increase its housing and needs to do so. So I am in favor of this project. I think the people who are involved are ecologically minded. They're paying attention to the needs of the ecosystem there. And Greenfield is one of it's a place in the valley that still is affordable and that people are looking to live in, as more and more people are finding it hard to rent or own homes in other parts of the valley. So I'm in support of this project.
Thank you. Saul Shanabrook.
Hi, my name is Saul Shanabrook. I live across the river in Turners Falls. I'm a member of Valley Housing Cooperative. I'm in support of this project. I wanted to give a little bit of background on the relationship between Noah Grunberg, Noble Home, Valley Community Land Trust, and the Housing Cooperative. So the Housing Cooperative started as a group of renters in the area who wanted to have affordable housing that they could live in and feel safe living in without the fear of being evicted or have to leave because of raising rents. As that's been said, that's happened to many of us in the community, and we're in a deep housing crisis. Noah Grunberg was an early partner to us. He had a similar vision of wanting to build a small home community, homes that were affordable, maybe not capital A affordable in terms of income restrictions, but available for people at a price that hopefully they could afford, you know, trying to meet the middle and also just trying to do as much as we can in the limits of our current environment where affordable housing funding is not so prevalent. So the goals of this project and working together were to share a piece of land and work with a community land trust, which shows, I think, some of our commitment to working with the community and doing this not for our own self-interest, but for the goal of bettering the place that we live. As others have said, working with the community land trust caps the resale value of our homes to their appraised value, and that would be the same with any condo units that would be sold. It is unfortunate that new construction is expensive and there's no getting around that. But the values of this project are to try to make that as affordable as possible given those constraints. When we were looking for a site, we wanted to have something that was close to town so that we could prioritize public transportation and letting people live there who are working in town and might not have a car, and also for the ecological impact of, you know, biking and using public transportation and not having to drive a long way to work. So some folks have mentioned that this site is not the best place for this development. And I just wanted to say that we looked long and hard for different sites in the area, and this was one of the few that met our criteria in that it was close to town and had enough land to develop, as well as place for agriculture, which was important to us. I do want to acknowledge that it's hard coming into a neighborhood and have people who haven't been living there make large changes, and I empathize with some of the stress that we've caused our new neighbors, and I apologize that we've, you know, caused you this hardship. And it's unfortunate, I think, that this has turned into a question of individual slights, like the fact of hearing someone's car slam at night, or, you know, a little more traffic on the road versus the needs of our larger community around housing affordability and land stewardship. And I would hope that we'd be able to come together and have a solution that would work for all of us. We did have multiple hearings that we invited the neighborhood to, that a good number of neighbors came, and it was helpful to hear their concerns, and we're continue to be open to suggestions and, you know, input from the neighbors on how to move forward. It seemed like quite quickly that the sentiment was just no, and not that we want to offer constructive suggestions, but just we're going to do whatever we can to try to stop this project from happening, which is unfortunate, because obviously we're going to be living there, and we would love to be in good relationship with our neighbors.
Saul, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Saul. There's 4 people waiting. Can you please, you know, just wrap it up as best you can? Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Excuse me. I'm seeing that people online are communicating with each other by, what's it called, messaging? Chat. And it's coming through, so would you please stop doing it? Thank you. Robin Green, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Let's keep them short. We have, I'm at the cut off people because we're almost at 10 o'clock, so we can keep it short for the last 4. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Robin Green. I live at 138 Highland Ave in Greenfield, Massachusetts. I also work with Sarah Brown on the Unhoused Subcommittee, and I'm an EMT for American Medical Response, responding primarily to 911s in the city of Greenfield. I'm tired of going to calls for homeless people who are sick because they are homeless. Tired of going to people who have staph infections because they don't have access to showers, or people who are getting hypothermic at night or don't have access to water or things like this. I think more housing is more good. Even if one person gets off the street and into one of these units, I think that's a boon. So I implore you to approve this permit. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Allison Gage. Allison Gage. Bella Lababi, if that's pronounced properly.
Hi, my
Okay,
name
please.
is Stella Levavi. I live at 111 Davis Street in Greenfield, and I am absolutely in favor of approving this construction. As a renter here in Greenfield, I am absolutely terrified of being kicked out of my apartment at any moment. And I think many, many renters here feel the same, and any kind of security in this front and is so, so valuable for everyone in the community. And any type of new housing, it will push this market in a different direction. And this is definitely the direction that Greenfield needs to go into.
Thank you. Thank you. NC. Can you tell
Hi,
your-
hello. Hello,
your
my name
name?
is, yes, Nathaniel. To address the comments in the chat, I'm sorry, I heard somebody disrespect the job that you were doing, and I guess that was out of line. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're protecting me, that's fine.
I-
NC, what is your last name, sir? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Sorry, it's Nate Card. I tried
And
to
where do you
change it.
live?
I live in, it's a part of my story. I live in Turner's Falls. I
Okay.
just moved out of Greenfield. I work 40 hours a week in Greenfield. I spend half of my money in Greenfield. I moved out because I got priced out by the market. And so this, if you'll grant me 2 minutes of your time, I'd like to
2
speak on that.
minutes.
Thank
2
you.
minutes, good.
I have a master's degree in ecological landscape planning and design. So this is what I've gone to school for. And not only have I gone to school for this, I work in this. I'm a resilience planner here in Greenfield. I'm here in Greenfield because I was drawn to the incredible community that I've experienced in Greenfield. And so I was extremely excited to get the job that I did working here in Greenfield. What I've heard tonight is a lot of care for community and a lot of care for the environment. And those are great things, and we need to at least recognize that everybody is here because of those things. I also hear a lot of fear of change, and I really empathize with that. But we really need to recognize the moment that we're in, where this part of the country, this part of Massachusetts, is going to be a refuge for people fleeing the effects of climate change. It's not just about like what's happening here right now. We have to plan for this future where the climate is changing and people are going to have to move. We need to have housing. I've reviewed the plans that are happening on this site. I agree that there is a fair call for an outside review of the engineering. I think it's good to do your due diligence. But ultimately, I think having more people in this part of the landscape can help steward this land back to a much more thriving condition than it really is right now. I've walked that land plenty. When I was living in Greenfield, I lived on Valley View Drive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, is Allison Gage wish to speak?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, okay. Allison Gage, 32 Abbott Street. It's late and I'm not going to say anything new, so I'll keep it very quick. I just wanted to speak in favor of this project. I sit on the city's open space task force, and this is a great opportunity to increase our housing stock and reduce sprawl. And I'd love to see this project move forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We have 7 minutes. Anybody else up there want to speak?
NC is still trying to come in.
NC already spoke. Okay, thank you, everybody, for speaking. Anybody else here who hasn't spoken that wants to speak? Thank you. Okay, so we need to make a motion to continue. So wait, oh, good, leave it on.
I just don't want to blast the next guy.
Tomorrow morning.
If I don't do it now, I'll forget.
So you've all raised a lot of good points. It's our intention to continue this until, now we have a regular meeting on the second Thursday of the month. I could continue it to that date, but if it starts to fill up, we don't like to hold up other people's ability to get permits. Then we'll schedule a special meeting, which usually is the week after. I'm going to assume that Al is your contact person, so I'll let him know that I need a contact. And I'll let you know. And I also want to schedule a site visit, which will be open to the public and the board coming to the site. And people, the public's obviously welcome. I don't think I'm going to, I think I'd like it just to be that we can all see what's going on and have them explain everything and not. And then when we come back for the next meeting, there can be comments about it. I would allow questions at the time if I deem them to be appropriate, but otherwise it's just for us to all see on the ground what's going on. So you might have thoughts about what it looks like there, but maybe you could go there and see what's going on. It'll help us understand better what's happening. So that's it for tonight.
Make one suggestion, David. Maybe we can take from all the input, somehow sift through it and provide feedback to the proponent for them eventually to address it.
For the applicant.
For the applicant, yeah. I mean, all the commentary, kind of, if we can consolidate it, get it to them.
Yeah.
They could be working on it for the next presentation.
Yeah, I was planning on having a discussion with the applicant anyway between now and then. If you're all free to go, or you can wait till we finally end the meeting, but otherwise, you have anything you want to say to end this?
I guess just the question on the dates, so but obviously I want to make sure that they make it.
All right, you and I will connect.
No, we were missing one sheet from your presentation. Give me 1 second.
Maybe the landscape. plan.
A1.2-1. We have this one, but you showed one up on a slide.
The landscape. plan. That's a fair for,
Never got it.
earlier in the week. They just had it done. But I can take whoever I should send it to.
Yes, thank you. Copy. Thank you.
No, that's right, I'm just.
Yeah, let's just wrap this.
What I need.
Okay, do we have a motion to continue the meeting? A second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, let the record show is unanimous. I have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, mean be adjourned.
I'll second. Any discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, let the record show is unanimous. Thank you.